Hello and welcome to episode 59 of the MisanthroPod. I'm Snipe and as always, I'm joined by Wib. Say hello.
Hello.
And I am also joined by drummer Matt. Say hello.
Hello.
How are you fabulous gentlemen today?
I am doing okay.
Yep, I'm good. How are you, Snipe?
I'm okay as well, thank you. I'm glad that we got that out of the way, because this is a very special episode that is not entirely and completely brought on with a scheduling error. This is a very fun top 5 game episode that we're going to talk about video games and what we like.
Yeah, basically what we're going to do, because we're not going to be around for the normal week that we would be recording.
Rapture.
Not in fact the Rapture, no.
Doomsday.
Or Doomsday. No, we're just on holiday, as is Matt.
Oh shit.
So...
Not together, just a weird coincidence.
Yeah, it just happened to be...
We're going to the same place and sleeping in the same tent, but not together. That'd be weird. Okay, we're not actually having a holiday together.
I was thinking, what, are we sleeping in the tent in shifts or something?
Yes.
But yeah, so rather than do our usual episode where we just talk about whatever bollocks we're doing over the last 2 weeks, we're actually going to go through and do something kind of nice and positive and talk about our most favoritist video games ever.
Well, 5 of them.
Or 5 of them, anyway.
Ranked arbitrarily by numbers.
Yes.
Because that's the thing, what video games journalism does.
And I didn't realise we were doing the rank. I thought we were just choosing 5. So when you mentioned about 5 minutes ago we were putting them in order, I was like, oh crap.
Hurry! Put them in a meaningful order.
Kind of realised that the 5 best games I chose, not one of them I'd really put as number 1. So don't know what that says, but
Whoops.
So I guess just to quickly get stuff out of the way, is there anything before we get into it you want to talk about, Matt?
not really. I've spent the last week since our last recording playing Final Fantasy. As I mentioned, I'd started last time.
So
I'm just... Well, obviously, I'm playing on Steam, so there's no discs, but I'm just onto the second disc.
Excellent.
I believe.
I've got to say, I think you are kind of... It's something you're going to be kind of missing out on. There's something very milestone-y about getting to each disc, you know?
Yeah, but as I mentioned last time, the disc changing thing for me was a complete nightmare. So
true.
Getting to avoid that is actually quite great. So
that's fair. That's fair.
Other than that, I've done bugger all, to be honest.
That makes sense. That makes sense. It's not been very long since we last spoke.
How about you guys?
I don't really have anything to report.
Good.
Yeah, read more Inquisitor. I've posted more excerpts of it on Twitter for people to be horrified at.
Yeah, I've seen a few.
It's not great, but that's all I really have to report. Snipe, do you have anything to report?
See, when you say it like that, it makes me really uncomfortable, because it's like, oh great, now spotlight's on me. And... Well, I got me some hearing aids.
Ah, yes, I saw on Twitter.
Yeah, no, that's been interesting. I got them a few days ago, and boy, is that interesting.
Do you want to know what I've noticed about it? Your fan... Can I say our fan base? Your fan base, let's be honest.
Ours.
Like, every single Twitter comment was so amazingly positive.
I know.
And I was just being there like, I was like,
wonderful.
Who listens to, like, and watches you guys? Like, there's not... This is amazing. Like, this is not what Twitter is like.
Exactly. Our community,
It's so cool.
is phenomenally supportive and so wonderful and accepting, and oh my god, they're all so lovely. And that people were like, oh yeah, no, I noticed this when I had glasses, or I had my ears like operated on and I had a weird adjustment period, and I'm like, this is so fucking cool.
It's lovely.
You know, it's like this whole new world. But no, it's like yeah, I put them on and it was actually pretty cool, because the lady, like, she talked me through them. They're digital hearing aids, so they're, like, lightweight, and they are basically fitted to my particular type of deafness.
Oh, that's cool.
Which is high frequency.
Yeah, it's like, was it like mild to
mild to moderate to high frequency hearing loss. And I was like, I can't be that bad. And then, like, I'm walking through town, and, like, Wib's talking to me, and I'm like, I can hear every word he's saying. I can actually hear what he's saying, you know? And it's like, then I notice certain things, because it just sounds kind of like a little echoey in your ears. And, like, I would hear something being amplified, but I wouldn't be able to hear the actual sound. And you're like, oh, that's a bit weird. Like, it's like someone outside did something, like they were stirring a cuppa or something, and I was like, whoa. I can hear that. And, like, the whole... I came home... And I put the computer on and I was like, the fuck is that noise? And Wib was like, oh, that's the needle on the hard drive going. I was like, oh. I was like, I actually had to take them out for like a few hours yesterday because it was just so overwhelming because there were so many sounds that I just haven't. I was like, I was sitting there painting my up my Imperial Knight and I'm just like, my breathing is so fucking annoying. How do you fucking put up with this? This like whistles and Wib's like, no, that's normal. I'm like, it fucking sucks. Make the world quiet again.
Yeah, I guess you get used to it, I guess.
Yeah, no, I mean, the lady that had me fitted the audiologist, she was like, it's like learning how to hear again. And that's such a perfect descriptor of it. Like, when I first had them in, she was like, does that sound strange? It's going to sound echoey. And I'm like, it does. And then she picked up a couple of bits of paper and started crinkling them, and I was like, ugh, that's so weird.
Why would you do that? Please stop.
I think she was just showing me the range of weirdness I can pick up. But no, that's been pretty exciting, pretty interesting, very hard to adjust to. Suddenly I can hear half of these things I wasn't able to. I mean, I'm not wearing them now because I have in-ear earphones, and I don't think it's a particularly good idea to wear over-ear earphones when you've got hearing aids in anyway. So, yeah, but no, they're cool. Surprising how much I actually needed them.
yeah. But yeah, no, that's a big adjustment, I guess.
Yeah, very much so. So yeah, that's pretty much like all my news.
It's a pretty big piece of news, though.
It's a very big piece. Hey guys, so I can actually hear things properly now. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, so everyone's got to tone back on the telling you to fuck off now. We can't do it under our breath and assume that you can't hear it.
You can't do it in a really high pitch where like, well, Snipe, just fuck off, and I'm like,
you can hear it from 3 buildings away. It's like, hang on.
Exactly. But anyway. We should probably talk about all these games, what we like a lot, very much.
So I guess we should start off with number 5.
Number 5?
In all of our lists. So what we're going to do is we're going to go through each number and we're all going to talk about our game that sits in that bracket.
Okay.
And I'm going to go first. And I will talk about my 5th favourite game. I don't know, should we have some form of annoying musical jingle when the numbers come up?
Well,
probably.
Yes. We should.
Okay.
It's number 5. Woohoo!
Good.
Out of 5. We're starting at the lowest and going to 1.
I was actually just going to go and find one on the internet.
You don't have to anymore. You have a veritable cornucopia of musical talent right here.
Well, you'll see how much I enjoyed that when you hear it implemented in the video in the end, I guess.
Okay, so if you hide my hearing aids so I can't hear it, I know what you've done.
So anyway, my number 5. My number 5
Mambo.
most favoritist game is not Mambo number 5.
Oh.
It is the original Castlevania for the Nintendo Entertainment System.
Oh, that's a good choice. That's a good game.
It's going a bit old school there.
Which you totally played on the original Nintendo Entertainment System.
Oh,
no, he
totally.
played it on the Wii.
I did actually, yeah.
I love how you were insinuating piracy. It was like, no, we bought it on the digital shop on the Wii.
Oh, yeah, that's what I meant.
Oh, yeah.
So, I don't know how much... I think it's relatively well known, but, for people that don't know, in the UK, and indeed in a lot of places in Europe, the NES didn't do so great. Like, I know in America, that was the 8-bit console. Whereas here, home PCs had a much better run, so things like Commodore 64, your Amstrads, things like that. But the 8-bit console that was the one that dominated was the Sega Master System, and that's what I actually had as a kid.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, you should be sorry.
You poor child.
I love the Master System, but it's a piece of shit. It's got the worst sound chip in it. ever.
But it's
fucking
okay,
horrifying.
because, like, you know, you love it, and that's fine.
So I didn't play Castlevania like back in the day. The way I actually ended up playing it, and this was only a few years ago. It was after we started the channel. I think it was like 2013.
So yeah, a few years ago.
Yeah, so like 5 years ago. It was when I first played it, and I started playing it because I watched a few videos by a few different creators who were like talking about how much they loved it and how good the design of it was. Namely, there was a retrospective that James Rolfe did as AVGN that was about the Castlevania series. And there was Ego Raptor's sequelitis video on Castlevania 1 and Castlevania 2. And, like, I watched those, like, way back then, and I was like, you know what? The way they're talking about this does sound like a good game. I should really give this a shot, because I don't... Like, I'm no big retro gamer. Like, I can enjoy them, but, like, I like, to me, my sort of gaming era starts at like the PS1 era, which I guess does make me a retro gamer, but I struggle to think of anything before the or anything before the PS1 to be retro, even though I know that is like 25 years ago at this point. But yeah, so I eventually played it and I was like, yeah, this is fucking great. Like, its design is so good. Like, it does the thing that I always appreciate.
It's the original Dark Souls.
Kind of is. Dark Souls is very much a similar type of layout to it. So, like, little things. So the game is difficult. It's true, and it's one of the rare games that I did sit down and, like, really just hammer out until I could beat it.
Yeah.
It's the only NES game I've ever beaten. Because I haven't actually played that.
To be fair, I
many
think
of
that's
them, you know?
not, especially nowadays with a lot of younger gamers, I don't think that's a massive...
Oh, yeah. And I did it legit. I didn't use save state zero.
No.
So playing through it, like, you notice lots of little things, like the game will always... Well, I think there's maybe like one exception, but every time it introduces a new enemy, that first time you encounter them with some kind of advantage. Either you've got like the high ground so that you can see how they behave, and so you can learn how to deal with them, or you're left in some kind of position that means that you can deal with it, and but learn how it works, and then it will start throwing them at you in more complicated situations, and it kind of ramps up like that. So you end up in this nice situation where it's harsh, it is difficult, and it handles weird, but the whole game is so tightly designed around that, and every time it messes with you, it has given you some training to deal with it. And it's also nice and fair because it doesn't have continues. Well, it does, but it doesn't have limited continues. So if you're willing to keep plugging at it, then eventually you will beat it. And yeah, it does remind me of Dark Souls in that regard. It's like a precursor to that style of game design where it's harsh, but it's fair. And I really do appreciate that. Also helps that just the sprites are really quite fun and colourful. But not in like a cartoonish way, just that they're kind of, I don't know, there's something really aesthetically pleasing about them, despite them being so garish, it's weird. And also helps that the music is fucking incredible.
It is
like,
really good.
Castlevania, like, all the early Castlevanias have great music. I mean, the later ones do as well, but like, to me, I never got on with the later Castlevanias, like Symphony of the Night and stuff. I know some people fucking love them, and I totally understand why, but to me, I just love Castlevania 1 so much. Like, Castlevania 2's, it's fine. It's obviously all the criticisms it's got over the years are completely valid, but it's fine. It still has the good music. The graphics are still nice. It still handles like a Castlevania, but it's just an experiment that didn't really work. And Castlevania 3 is great, but I don't know, it doesn't feel quite as tight design-wise as Castlevania 1. And so, yeah, I really like Castlevania 1, and I didn't even come to liking it from a place of nostalgia. It was just, I played it and was like, wow, it doesn't matter how old this is, it's still fucking great.
Nice.
So yeah, that's my number 5 for Castlevania. Who's going next?
I'll go next.
Okay, cool.
Okay, my number 5 game is Far Cry 3. Shock horror.
That's the one with the Vast Man in it.
That is with Vas Montenegro. Yes, that's the one. Now I don't know about this one. This one just it resonated with me damn near instantly. I remember I got this on a whim. I think my parents just came over, gave me their credit card, and went, buy yourself something, I guess it was your birthday, so I got it. And I was like, it was late at night when I first started playing it. And I had no kind of... I'd seen the adverts on YouTube, but it's one of those things where you just ignore them because they're adverts.
And you played a little bit of the old Far Cry's, hadn't
Yeah,
you?
and I wasn't a massive fan of the old. They were pretty... It's just there. So I thought, no, I'll give this one a go, why not? And I got like a good few hours in, and I was just like, I was really hooked. It's like, the introduction, even with the horrific choice of music...
Oh, and
the intro of it,
Ooh.
which honestly, if anyone had that on their phone or were listening to it, I would just punch them in the fucking face. It is the most obnoxious, horrible fucking set of noises I've ever heard.
It sets you up well to meet the characters you're dealing with, doesn't it?
Yes, it does, because every character, like the character you're playing is a fucking bonehead. Jason Brody is a dumb fuck, and I don't really like him very much. Like, the only interesting character is Voss. And that's because, basically, they put him in at the last minute with, like, the greatest of expense.
Yeah.
Because like, Michael Mando, the man who is visually based off Voss and who his performance was basically based off Voss, is, he auditioned for a character called Lupo, who was basically supposed to be this big, silent, kind of, like... stoic kind of guy, and then he just went in and just because he'd been like through a bad breakup, and he just went fucking bananas, and they were like, this is awesome. We need this character in our fuck me. And so they just wrote him in there, and it's like, and that's basically the takeaway from Far Cry 3 is that, Vass's, like, Michael Mando's performance was so fantastic that it drew a lot of people in, and like I thought the character was fantastic, and like the whole kind of survival element was fun. This was back before that was massively worn through, and Ubisoft had towers in every fucking game. Yeah. So it was back when this stuff was still relatively fresh, so you didn't get really bogged down by so much of it. The story isn't massively fantastic.
Doesn't it, like, completely shit the bed about 2/3 of the way through or something?
But, like, just past the halfway mark, it just fucking shits itself. You go to an extra island, and it just sucks. And it's like, but still, like, you want to play through it, and, like, you've got to that point, you might as well complete. And it basically just pops a new bad guy there and goes, oh, this is the guy you hate. And it's like, no, not really. It's been literally Voss up until this point, and now you're like, hey, check out this guy. It's like, who? Oh yeah, we saw him at the very beginning of the game, like, tell Voss that he was gonna be right back or something. Yeah, okay, fine. But no, the gameplay kept me going. There's a bunch of stuff to do. Like, there's like special hunting missions that you hunt a really special tiger or whatever, and it gives you like an increased inventory thing because you craft all this shit, and like you could reset the outposts, because I loved clearing outposts.
Yeah,
I really did enjoy that. Like, you could just sit there with your headphones in and really become immersed.
What was your tactic? Would you go in guns blazing, or would you?
I would never go. No, I would if someone spotted me and I was having a bad day. I'd just go in throwing grenades everywhere, because fuck you, how dare you? I was trying to be sneaky.
Okay.
But no, for the most part, I get my big souped up rifle, and I just find a good vantage point.
I did exactly the same.
Yeah, and you clip them all off methodically, and it's so fun. There's like one of them that's quite later on where it's like through an outpost and people keep driving through, and if you can like pop one as they're driving through, it's the most fucking badass feeling. And you're like, yeah, I got the driver. Or you could like lead tigers or like other like angry animals into the play. I think you can lead bears in.
What about blood dragons?
I honestly, couldn't play that. Made me feel ill. But no, you could lead like animals in there just to fuck shit up, and then you pick them off, and the ensuing confusion, and that I thought was really fun. And it was just a nice immersive world that you could just sit there and just enjoy. So it was really, I really did enjoy it, like, thoroughly. Honestly, they've recently released the remastered version, which is basically but it's literally just, we didn't change anything, give us more money.
Oh.
So it's
I think it's largely meant for...
It's for consoles.
For consoles,
yeah.
So...
But no, so I'm tempted to reinstall it one of these days, because it is really fun. And, like, just burn through the story, and it's kind of like, occasionally it's like, look how deep I'm being. It's like, yeah, whatever. Don't fucking care. Just get me in a car. I barely ever use cars on there, honestly, because I can't drive very well. But no, it's just a very fun experience for me. Like it uses, except for the music at the beginning, which just happens to be a song I fucking hate. I thought the use of music was fantastic. Like the actual, like the kind of the jungle kind of like music that would play, say, at night or when you're sneaking about was very atmospheric. It was good. The use of like licensed music was good. More specifically, Damian Marley and the Skrillex track that plays is fantastic. I think that, it maybe lasted a little bit too long, but the idea of that was fucking phenomenal. And the first, minute and a half of that is so damn fun. You just walk through fucking weed fields with a flamethrower while, dubstep's playing. It's, the fucking coolest thing in the world.
It, reaches that point where it's, something is so dumb it becomes amazing.
Especially because your screen starts wobbling really violently because you're so fucking high. Because that's how that works.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, that was just really fun. But yeah, that's my number 5.
Okay. So Matthew, you're number 5.
Okay, I'm just going to front load with this. With
Do it.
So when I was choosing, when you told me we were doing this last night
5
while I
minutes
was
ago.
out of the house, and then I've been out of the house basically apart from sleeping till we started recording.
Yep.
So I've come up with it. I came up with 5, but in order to do it, to try and think of because me and games, I enjoy them while they're happening, and I can vaguely look back and think, oh, I enjoyed playing that. But I don't think I've ever once, with the exception of Final Fantasy VII, which I started last week, I don't think I've ever gone back and replayed a game. There's a few things like if a game with new DLC comes out or free DLC, just to specify. But like Slime Rancher, just as a recent example, a new patch came out, so I went back and picked it up and carried on a bit. But I think in terms of the main story of a game, I can't think of any that I've gone back and replayed. I don't have a go-to game or two that I'll go back and play or whatever.
Yeah.
And then so to try and plus combined with the fact that my memory is terrible. I'm okay with remembering numbers or stupid equations or whatever. If I have to sit down and learn things for a test back in the day or whatever, I could do that. But just in terms of what I've done and things, Ruth will tell you, it's terrible. We go oh yeah, we did this holiday or this thing a few years ago. I was like, did we? So
who are you?
So in order to get my list of 5 games, I kind of set myself a bit of I did it through eras. So I picked a PS1 game, which is my first console, and when I started, we had a PC before that. And we had a few games on it, but I think I was too young to remember what any of them were called or anything about specifics. So the first real time I got into them was PS1. So I did a PS1, a PS2, a PS3, a PC game, and then my 5th one I had a free choice of anything.
That's probably a much more sensible system than we had, which was just to use our brain meats to think of things.
Yeah, but the downside of this is that one of those 5 games, if I picked multiple PC games, some of these games in my list of 5 best games possibly wouldn't be in my 5 best games ever, if that makes sense.
Yeah, okay, yeah, makes sense.
And then I've literally just put them in a 1 to 5 order 5 minutes before we started the podcast when you told me that I had to.
Stop ruining the illusion, Drummer Matt. Come on.
It's fine. Look, I always assume that whenever someone does a list like this, if they did it a week later, it would probably be slightly different because that's how these things work. You know?
Yeah. Well, yeah, I've mentioned a few times, but yeah, Final Fantasy. If we did this list in a couple of weeks after I finish that, because it possibly will get up there, but because I remember playing it the first time round, but I don't really remember enough about it to put it up there. Whereas I'm fairly sure, judging by how much I've enjoyed the first about third of it or whatever I've got through, I'm fairly sure by the time I finish this will go to the top of or near the top of the list. So
okay,
yeah.
Future list spoilers here.
But anyway,
your number 5.
My number 5 was my PS3 choice, Fallout 3.
Okay,
cool.
I went into it, as I imagine a lot of people did, not having played one of the previous Fallout games, or really knowing about it that much.
I think especially if you were coming from a console perspective, because I think there was a PS2 Fallout game, and it was a spin-off or something. But apart from that, I don't think it had been on consoles really much at all.
Yeah, I don't know I can't remember. I know there was previous games. even Fallout 3, there was presumably at least 2 other games.
At least.
No, I know that there was various ones, and they weren't at all the same, really. From what I know.
top-down isometric style RPG things.
Very old school kind of PC looking.
Yeah,
Based on GURPS.
But I don't think I'm the only one the only one to which Fallout 3 was the first experience of the whole Fallout universe world setting.
Yeah, it was mine as well, honestly.
And just the aesthetics of that game, like the sort of the setting it's in, and the sort of 50s but futuristic thing they've got going on, was just, I love that shit. It's completely great, and the soundtrack's awesome, and like it's Bethesda, it's got weird bits to it, but I played it on, like I mentioned, the PS3, so I didn't have the same issues with like it not really being a shooter, it being more of an RPG, but because you're playing with a controller anyway, that kind of, basically all shooters with a controller are kind of look whether you hit things or not anyway. So
especially like in those days.
So I didn't really notice any of that, and at that time I'd never, apart from like I mentioned earlier, our old DOS PC, I'd never had a PC game to play shooters and things on really. So I hadn't really had the mouse and keyboard experience, so I didn't notice any of that jankiness. I imagine if I went back now, I'd be like, this is the worst. I haven't played a console game for quite a while. But at the time it was great, and I could put hours and hours into it. I remember being probably playing it between uni holidays or something. I was back at my folks and just playing it, and just getting home and just going up to my room and be like, yep, I'll be down in a bit, and then just spending a whole evening just immersing myself into cool 50s futuristic stuff.
Yeah.
Don't have too much more to say about it because, like I said, my memory is terrible.
I liked the part where Metal Gear Ray jumped out.
I don't think that happened in that video.
Honestly,
game.
can't remember what the story is. Is that the one where you're looking for...
Story is Liam Neeson is your dad, then he fucks off.
Your dad, yeah.
And he just goes away.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh shit, daddy.
Which made more sense than the more recent Fallout, because like it's slightly less pressing. Like going off on all the side quests while you're still trying to look for your kid is all a little bit weird. Whereas like, he's only my dad. Like I'll look for him at some point. But if I go off and get distracted by something,
as a fully grown adult, I'm sure he's fine.
If I go off and get distracted by something, it's not the end of the world.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. There you go. Number 5.
Okay, cool.
Nice.
So on to number 4.
Number 4.
I am not a number. I am a free man.
You are number 4.
So my number 4, leading somewhat neatly on from my number 5, is Dark Souls, the first one.
Okay, yep.
Oh, Demon Souls.
No, the first Dark Souls game.
You dick.
I could not resist that.
Yeah, fair.
It's either me doing it or someone in chat, someone in comments going, well, actually.
Well, they can actually, but they'd be wrong. Because Demon Souls is a different series, despite kind of not being.
I am just messing.
Yeah,
with you.
I know.
It's fine. You can start talking about Dark Souls now. Go on.
But yeah, to be honest, I like Dark Souls for a lot of the same reasons as Castlevania.
Sexy main character.
Well, it can be. I mean, if you can wrangle the From Software character editor enough to make a character that looks like a human, that is.
No,
or maybe
you're just
really into blankly staring mannequins. I don't know. But no, the original Dark Souls, I haven't yet played the remastered version. To be honest,
seems like it's subtle, but it's done pretty well by the look of it.
Yeah. But I played the shit out of the original one, and as I say, much like Castlevania, it's the entire thing is based around the idea of it's difficult, but for the most part, I'm looking at you, Capra Demon, Bed of Chaos. For the most part, completely fair. It's just
when
hard.
When they ran out of money, it was bad. Just when they ran out of money, it got bad.
Well, yeah. Yeah. Lost Isla has got a lot of holes in it, let's just say.
Mm-hmm. They didn't even have full dragon enemies.
Yeah,
they could only afford to get the butts in.
They could only afford to get the dragon asses.
I know.
That was it.
There's asses dragging everywhere.
Yeah. Oh dear. But yeah, it is. It is. I don't really need to tell anyone, but it is a fantastic game. Like as I say, harsh but fair. It didn't require there's a certain amount of speed that you require for Dark Souls 3, which ran a bit faster.
I say Bloodborne had a bit to do with that.
Yeah. I haven't been able to play Bloodborne yet because I don't know anyone with a PS4 to try it on.
One day. When the PS5's announced, we'll get the PS4.
Oh yeah, we'll pick it up cheap.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's a certain speed there, and likewise there's a certain sluggishness about Dark Souls 2. But sort of the middle ground between those two is the original Dark Souls, and I feel that's a really nice space, because if, like me, you have a bit of a shit reaction time, you can sort of get away with that a lot easier in Dark Souls 1, even if you still can't, to this day, get parries right. But, fucking gorgeous, interesting world that's revealed to you so piecemeal. That it becomes just a kind of soft ARG, just people trying to work out what the fuck is going on.
No, it doesn't exactly spell things out for you.
No, and on the one, I can totally understand people that don't like that, because it can be very frustrating when you just go, but I just want to know why I'm having to kill this person.
Because they're there.
To be fair, the only real answer is because they're there. They're in the way, and you must kill them. But yeah, the way the game ramps up and does little things with it, because it doesn't use much music throughout most of the game. There's only really at your original spawn point that you have music at Flamelink Shrine. It's fallen out my brain what it's called.
Firelink Shrine.
Firelink Shrine. Yeah. The music, that's one of the few places which has music, and apart from that, it's really only boss fights that have it.
I think it's used very well.
But yeah, the music's quite often big and bombastic when you're fighting enemies. Sometimes that's perfectly understandable, like Ornstein Smaug and stuff like that. You anything other than big and bombastic would be a little weird.
Yeah.
But occasionally they'll just do kind of weird things with it. I remember the Moonlight Butterflies music is bizarre, and of course there's the whole Gwyn boss fight where it's just piano on its own. And
I think that's incredibly effective. Very cool. You're
fighting this the final boss of the game, and it's just playing this soft piano music, and it's one of those. Most of my things that I like about it are the same things I like about Castlevania. It's just on a grander scale and much more modern. And even though the later games have done certain things better, they've maybe looked better or had been a bit tighter mechanically or ran at 60 frames a second without
busting up your weapons,
busting up the jumping. There's still something about that first game that is just, I don't know, it's just better than the other ones, and I can't really quantify why. It's one of the few games where, when beating it, I just sat there and just watched the credits go by whilst the music played, because it was sort of
oh, that's how you know it's a good game.
The music sort of that's playing there was sort of a nice way to kind of tie off how I felt about the game. I just sat there and just kind of took it in and sort of, I don't know, you sort of just enjoy that. And I always think that's a sign of a good piece of media, when you sit through the credits, because good credit, I mean, obviously some credits have shit music on the end and they kind of ruin it, but a good credit sequence will have music that is so, fitting with the game that it's a good way to decompress after a game, I feel,
It's almost a bit like a musical debriefing.
Yeah. And I very much felt that at the end of Dark Souls 1. At the end of all the Souls games, in fairness, that I've beaten. I never got around to beating Demon Souls.
I think you'll be forgiven.
Because I couldn't be bothered.
Yeah.
It's not bad, it's just a bit inferior compared to Dark Souls 1.
Yeah, if you've been playing the updated versions, you go back, that's going to be different.
But yeah, so Dark Souls, it's good. Surprise, surprise. Moving on.
Shock horror. Okay, so for my number 4, this was really difficult. The biggest problem I have with, numbered lists is I don't know where to put everything. And I wanted to put this one up way higher, same with pretty much every other one of my choices. But it's just going to have to settle for number 4 for now, which is the original Witcher.
Okay.
Fucking love that game. It's fantastic. It's jank as all balls, and it's just fucking weird, and I still love it. It's like I've played the other Witcher games, and they're good, but I don't know. I can't get over the original, like the initial feeling of just going into that, and then learning the fucking weird combat controls, and just being blown away by how well everything was written and how much of a rich backstory there was there. And it wasn't just like, hi, I'm Jim Expositionman and I'm gonna tell you backstory.txt.
I'm Gerald from the Riviera.
I'm Grandma from Nivea. But yeah, no. And it was interesting, you know? It's like, it kind of did throw you in at the deep end immediately with the weird fucking controls and Triss's outrageous jiggle physics, because she's basically just in a fucking chainmail like bikini top, and I honestly have trouble taking games or just media seriously when it's like stuff like the characters in like literally a bunch of strings. I'm not going to take your medium seriously.
Her titties do bounce around like crazy,
they go nuts.
Especially in those early cutscenes.
Yeah. I mean, Geralt's got like the big fucking like his like shirt's open to like his belly button, basically.
He's showing off his fine collection of chest hair.
To be fair, that chest hair is amazing, and the only reason I like this game. So no, it's just oh god, like voice acting, like it's fantastic, and like just it's so good. The music is fantastic to the point where I get weird kind of like Pavlovian responses to it. Like Matt Mercer, the latest Critical Role campaign with the Mighty Nine, he's been given explicit permission from CD Projekt Red to use the Witcher soundtrack.
Yeah.
During a fight, he puts on one of the songs from the first game. I'm at the gym and I immediately go into fight or flight mode. And I'm like, shit! And I didn't exactly notice it straight away. And I was like, oh shit, okay. And like, it was like, I say that, it was like a second where I was like, oh god. So, yeah, no. Just, the characters are great, the storyline is fantastic, it doesn't spell a lot of shit out for you. You know, like you say, Dark Souls, it spells it out way more than that, of course. But just, yeah, no, I really liked it. But yeah, I just have to play it with my headphones in, because it's just so damn immersive, and it deserves, like, to just have the headphones put in and just ignore the rest of the world.
Yeah.
And just go out and kill a bunch of monsters, and you know, it's fantastic. Very fun. I like.
You like.
I like. Very good. Yay.
Yay.
Drummer Butt, what about you?
So, my number 4 game is my PS2 choice. I've gone for Gran Turismo 3.
Ooh, a driving game.
A driving game. Yes. Honestly,
yes.
I have more things to say about it.
You can drive
Gran
cars.
Turismo 3 is indeed a driving game.
Yes, it is.
Do you want to know a really tiny, pointless bit of trivia about Gran Turismo 3?
It's on the PS2.
Gran Turismo 3 was the last game I legitimately lost my temper with.
Really?
It's actually the reason why I'm so much more placid about games than a lot of people when I'm actually playing them. Like, I don't get angry with them because I got so angry with that game. I sort of had an epiphany of like, wow, this is really stupid for me to feel this angry about this.
What were you angry about?
Driving.
Rubber banding mostly.
Okay. Fair.
And how they'd removed like everything I liked from Gran Turismo 2 because I used to love the game. I love Gran Turismo 2. So,
yeah,
like,
Gran Turismo 2 was I kind of choosing 3 because of my arbitrary rules of picking one from each one meant that I couldn't choose Gran Turismo 2 from PS1 because I have at least 1 or 2 games that I prefer in that. So I couldn't choose it, and I honestly couldn't remember much else I played on the PS2. So it's in my list, but because of my arbitrary constrictions, it's not as good as Gran Turismo 2, but that's not in my list.
You could just have Gran Turismo 2, you know.
Just say Gran Turismo 2, dude.
I started with arbitrary rules.
Okay, then.
Fuck, fine, you've buttered your bread. Go and fucking stick a knife in it.
From what I remember of the game, one of the main things I do remember is driving down a long straight with... It's got a good soundtrack, Gran Turismo 3. A lot of Feeder, which at the time was pretty much my jam.
Well, didn't the intro movie have Just a Day on it?
Yeah, I believe so. And I can't even remember. There's a few others, and it's got Goldfinger in it as well on the soundtrack.
Completely forgot about that.
Yeah, I completely forgot until I just double checked what was in the soundtrack. 99 Red Balloons, which is a good
yeah, that's
cover.
a great song. They do great.
We should know. We covered that cover.
We covered that cover. Yeah.
We did.
Yeah, I did quite a lot of I got quite into the long time races where you had to do endurance ones, and I spent a lot of time sitting and doing the same laps, and there was something oddly satisfying about it.
Like Euro Truck Simulator kind of satisfying?
Yeah, almost. It almost stops being a racing game and it's a driving game, but there's a subtle difference. Like, you laugh.
No, there is.
But I mean, the races are good, and split screen multiplayer is always good fun. So you can invite a mate round and sit and do that. I think I did races with I did some of these endurance ones with my dad. I think actually, thinking back, because it was actually endurance that you couldn't. It wasn't like a full on 24 hours. I can't remember how long these things were, and probably less long than I've now been known to sit in front of a game non-stop. But at the time, it seemed like a long time.
I remember there was in one of the games there was the Le Mans 24 hour
in real time.
In real time.
Oh my, I don't think I ever did that.
I think that was Gran Turismo 4, where you could activate the AI to drive for you, and you could speed it up. So I did that, and I think you when you just narrowed it down, it outlasted 4 hours or something. So I literally set it up to be conservatively driving, but I was in a really good car, and then just went had my dinner and did other things. Was watching TV, and then I just occasionally flick back to the AV output to check in every now and again, and tell it to go to the pits periodically.
Awesome. What I do remember, because I think Gran Turismo 2 and 3 were still fun to drive. I think I tried 4 for not very long, and it's got so realistic for the time, driving conditions. It wasn't fun because you couldn't drive in a fun way. You had to drive like you were just on the road, basically. Whereas 3, you could still drive and have fun with it as well. So I was really into the first 3 of the games I really enjoyed, and then after that I haven't really played them much. Because it all got a bit too serious.
Yeah, I get that.
I remember I think it might have been a Gran Turismo game. I rented it from my local game store, which is showing how fucking old I am. And I wanted to race, and it was you can't play the game until you pass your driving test. I'm like, look, if I wanted to fucking do that, I'd go past my actual driving test and drive around. Fucking let me race. And it was no, you can't.
But it was so satisfying doing all the challenges, though. I enjoyed that, but that's the sort of person I am.
I literally couldn't progress, and I'd spent all my pocket money on renting this one game.
Okay, if it's rented and you've got a time limit, that's really annoying.
Yeah, it was literally for what was it? It was 2 days.
Yeah, okay.
And that was a week. That was a week's worth of pocket money from my mum, dad, and my nana. So that was it. It was just okay, fine.
Yeah, okay, that's fair.
Fuck these games. I'm never playing another one because I hate them.
Kids today don't know the pain of renting games and that being
they don't know the pain about capitalism. I was pretty sure they do.
Well, yeah. But of having a game and that being the game that you have for the weekend.
Oh yeah.
And you've got to fuck it
you've got to complete it.
I didn't rent.
You've got to enjoy it.
I think I only ever rented games a couple of times. I was lucky enough to not be in I had enough games that renting them wasn't something I needed to do.
Yeah.
But I was in that position a couple of times, and it's not fun.
It's not the funnest.
I think,
especially if you sit there and you and ah, and then you pick a game that sucks, and you're shit, I've got to play it for the whole fucking weekend.
Yeah.
Because I got to get my money's worth.
When we first got out, so I was speaking of PS2 because that's what this category was for me. I know you're not doing the category thing, but when we first got the PS2, I think the first game we got it for Christmas one year as a present to I've got 2 brothers, and it was a present to all 3 of us, and that was the only thing we got.
A 2-player console for 3 children.
Yeah, we had a multi-tap.
Oh,
an off-brand one, so you had to unplug it and plug it into different ports and things. But I believe the 2 games we got with it when we first, because I don't know if we chose or if I can't remember, but the 2 games we got with it were Crazy Taxi and Simpsons Hit and Run, which is Simpsons Crazy Taxi.
Simpsons GTA, isn't it?
No, Simpsons Crazy Taxi. You drove around and picked up people and dropped them off, and it's the same as. There's a bit more to it. explory compared to Crazy Taxi, but they're kind
Yeah.
of the same game. And those were the 2 games we had on it.
Are
And
those
yeah,
both single player games as well?
I think you can all games back then had multiplayer on basically. Like all games were multiplayer, like local multiplayer.
A lot of them.
Yeah, like, so many of them. I'm sure more than now. No games have
Oh,
local
absolutely.
multiplayer.
Absolutely, without a doubt.
But yeah, but despite them being the same game, yeah, those were the 2 you played because that's all you had. Yeah,
Yep.
and now we've got Steam libraries.
And even if you hated the game, you'd play it because what else is there to fucking play?
I think one of those things was I had my first console was a Sega Game Gear, and I had Sonic the Hedgehog, which is the Master System version, which is fine. A game called Haley Wars. That's actually I believe a very underrated space shooter. And by underrated, I mean I played it as a kid, and no one else has heard of.
In my head, it was 2 people called Haley fighting, but the only 2 I could think of was Haley something from Paramore and Halley the astronomer.
See, my brain was I was like, it's some woman versus a comet.
Well, I went to the person who named the comet, but I mean, fighting the comet.
Okay, Captain Science.
It is named after the comet. So, and I had Micro Machines.
Micro Machines was the shit.
Which was the shit.
So
and then I had
good.
the 4th game I had was Mickey Mouse's Cast of Illusion, I think it was, and I really hate that game. I know some people really like, I think it was the Mega Drive version, but I really hate the Game Gear version of it. But that was like one game that I had, so I'd go and try and play it, so, like over years trying to like get some enjoyment out of it, and just was like every time like fuck this, I'll go play some more Sonic. To this day, I only have 4 Game Gear games, actually.
That's okay. That's like 4 more than most people ever had.
The bloody thing barely works anymore. So.
Alright, moving on to number 3.
Yes.
Web.
Wiblet.
Well, to completely change gears
Wiblet.
from your previous driving game, I'm going to go to a very different driving game.
Tenshu.
Tenshu is not a driving game, nor the one on my list.
But it is very different from Gran Turismo.
Well, I was going to go for something that is still a racing game.
You can race in Tenshu.
Which is Mario Kart Double Dash.
Oh, yes, good choice.
Because I don't think I have to explain myself.
You
It's
literally
fucking
wasted
fantastic.
years on that game. Well, I say waste. You play that game for literal years.
I fucking love Mario Kart Double Dash. Like I've played other Mario Karts and I enjoy them just fine, but I think a combination of nostalgia and really liking the having to combine 2 characters and getting the specials that between them and trying to find a good like synergy between the 2. Like I don't know, I just really like that, and even like the picking characters, because you had like medium. Light and heavyweight characters, and there were restrictions as to what you could do depending on what you wanted, and the heavyweight cars tended to be faster but accelerated slower, and the small cars had great acceleration but shitty top speed. And there was just something about that game I just really, really liked. Like I even did like a fucking tournament at college.
Oh, nice.
Of Mario Kart, which
We had a Soul Calibur tournament at my college.
do you,
I don't like Soul Calibur.
because of the tournament, or
That didn't help because people were literally using the same move over and over again and
Yeah.
then literally screaming in your face because they were like, you fucking
but
suck.
that's
And
all
it's like,
fighting games.
It's not. And honestly, I promise myself next person who does that gets a stab in the throat. Because ain't no one doing that to me again.
Fun thing about the Mario Kart Double Dash tournament was that me and my mate at the time who were organising it, what we did was we didn't play in it because we were quite good at the game. And we played together a lot, so...
Seems fair.
And as far as we knew, we were like, if we're arranging this, if we enter it, there's a quite big chance of us winning it.
Because you're a bunch of
Because
saddos.
we knew that compared the people who were going to be entering it were not people who played it all the time. So.
Yeah.
And we thought that was fair. And what we did was we basically did a thing where we did the tournament, and then it was like whoever won, like basically you've won the tournament.
Bonus match.
You've won the tournament, but then play against us.
So basically, you guys were like
the final boss.
Come on.
Yeah, we were accurate. Like, if you didn't beat us, then it was fine. You
Or
still won.
Jinpachi,
Yeah, you still won, but
Bonus round.
we beat the person that won by over a minute. I think it was Yoshi Circuit.
Who was it? Were you two racing against each other as well?
No, we were racing as a pair.
Oh, okay, right. Because I was going to ask who won out of the two of you, but if you race as a pair, you never found the answer.
Yeah, I can't remember. Because I don't think we actually. I think we usually just race as a pair and like just put it on like whatever, like the high, like 150cc all the time, and just did that. But yeah, it's very much a game from my college days. I spent so much playing that, and one of the reasons why I have a real fondness for the GameCube, despite it not being the best, or more accurately, not having the best games. The
Honestly,
GameCube
I thought it was fine, and that, I guess, is the problem. That it was just middling, and it's alright.
I think the GameCube has fantastic first-party Nintendo games on it, but everything else...
I'd say maybe that's just a fault with Nintendo systems.
That's how they do.
They're very kind of like Nintendo only, and maybe only a couple of garbage like cast off.
I think it's just because they became very much a kind of third wheel for a lot of recent history, so they don't get the priority of things. But their first party stuff is generally always amazing. That's just Nintendo, Star Fox Zero and things like that aside.
We ended up getting a GameCube in first year of uni, and Double Dash was one of the two games I had on that. The other which being Twilight Princess.
Oh, okay.
But we didn't play Twilight Princess. I played it for like half an hour because just whenever we were playing it, someone else noticed that we were getting the GameCube out, and then came and was like, "Oh yeah, Double Dash." So we spent so long playing Double Dash. We set all the records and all the tracks so it spelt out, I think, like Sam is a knob or something like that.
John is an ass?
Something like that, yeah.
No, it is John is an ass, because you lent us, like...
Oh, is it?
Because I remember that.
Oh, yeah.
You lent us, like, a memory card or something, and, like, Wib was playing it, and it was just like, John is an ass. What?
That took a little while, but it was very satisfying. So yeah, never got a chance to really get stuck into Twilight Princess because Double Dash is just great. So I heartily agree with your choice.
It's one of those ones where I don't really have that much to say other than just if you've never played it and you have access to it, give it a shot. I don't know how it would compare to if you're more used to the modern Mario Kart games, but I remember playing like the I think it was the last one that was released on the Wii and being like, it's fine, but it's no Double Dash,
Mm-hmm.
So
will anything ever be?
Yeah, I haven't played the most, the Wii U ones or the. Is there one on the Switch? I think there's one on the Switch.
Maybe.
Yes, probably there is one. I don't know when it was released, if it's released yet. I try not to look too much at the Switch because it just makes me sad because I don't have one.
I keep going like one day.
Yeah, one day.
But yeah,
one day.
But yeah, Mario Kart Double Dash is good. Moving on to Snipe.
Oh, okay.
Your number 3.
My number 3 is Doom.
Which Doom?
Doom.
Just Doom.
If they refuse to name things properly, I can have Doom 2016 and 1993 on the same fucking slot.
That is fair.
Them.
Yeah. I mean,
yeah. The moment they start naming shit properly is the moment I'll start adhering to the strict numerals.
And in fairness, they are both very good.
By them having bad names, you're rewarding them by putting 2 of their games in your list. So they're going to keep doing bad names.
Well, then I'll keep being able to just, like, loophole my way around the top 5 games. Okay. I'll guess I'll start off by talking about Doom.
Okay.
This is fun. I like Doom. It's a good game, is Doom.
It is.
I also like the other Doom that they made. That was also
Can you
very
stop
fun.
saying it like that?
Doom.
Yeah.
Why?
There's just something about that goes right through me.
Doom. Okay, fair enough. Okay, Doom 1993. I first played this as a wee little bab snipe, and it was terrifying. Very scary game. Well, you can use with the hyper realistic graphics we have.
In fairness, I was kind of like. I felt like kind of sick watching it when I was a kid.
It was that fucking gory and terrifying.
I was a bit of a wuss as a child, I'll be honest.
I was too, but Like, I don't know. It's like this. My sheer bloody mindedness made me keep playing. It was fantastic.
I was never that nervous of it because whenever I played that was actually my dad playing it, and I was sat next to him. And when you're sat next to your dad, you feel braver. So
That's fair.
it didn't quite have the same impact.
Yeah, but no, I'd play this with like my brother. Like we'd like kind of swap and play and stuff like that. And later on, we got another computer and we would have LAN matches together.
Awesome.
So, like, I'd make a map. Or my brother would make a map. And yeah, I was, like, 6 years old. Or, like about 7 or 8 years old and making maps because that's just what you did. It was impossibly difficult, but as a kid, you just don't give a shit about that kind of thing.
Yeah.
It's like you can just push through really difficult or really badly made games or just painful shit and you're like, yeah, I can do this. I can suddenly make Doom maps. This is fine. And we just play each other a lot, and it was just hours and hours and hours of fun, and it was just so gory and scary and adult and cool and brutal and grim, and oh god, everything about it was awesome. Like, the Cyber Demon, my brother was obsessed with the Cyber Demon. Like, he'd always draw, like, Cyber Demons, or like we get, like, the occasional kind of word with us at kindergarten, where they'd be like, so... Alistair seems to be obsessed with a creature called a cyber demon. We're not sure you know about this. And they're like, nah, it's this big fucking, like, it's one of Satan's minions, you know, from, like, Mars and Hell. And they'd be like, okay.
Is Mars Hell the same as Earth Hell?
It's worse.
Okay.
You get cyber demons.
Well, that's fair. Yeah, okay, yeah, fair point.
Fake Doom fan. But yeah, so he'd always be like, when we'd always be talking about it, we'd be drawing them, and like I always liked the Caco demons were cute.
They are, yeah.
And I always liked the Hell Barons because they were like giant big goatmans with like pointy hoof feet, and they'd throw stuff at you. But even till this day, the noise they make when you basically discover them is terrifying. It's a big kind of like roar almost.
Is this another thing I should put into like the stream notification sounds, like the Metal Gear alert noise to freak you out?
Probably. It's like so fucking, oh god. Like the gunplay is so fantastic. Like it's still really fun after all this time. After, like, I don't know, it's been at least 75 years. And it is still so fucking fun. And even Doom 2 is pretty decent, sans those levels.
There are some pretty shitty levels in Doom 2.
Ooh, there's some bad ones. But no, yeah. Just fantastic. Fucking love that game. Love the music. Even though it's all stolen. It's all
I don't know what you mean.
E1M1 is so original, exactly. I don't know what I'm talking about.
I mean, all I'm saying is that, you know, if perchance someone happened to be walking past the id officers with a, you know, large stereo blasting Metallica, Pantera, Nine Inch Nails,
anything else,
it's possible that some influence might have been
maybe
had.
some influence. Who knows? Honestly, no man can say. But no, it's just that I would play that so much, and I would play it multiplayer. I would play with my dad's friends. You know, I'd literally be in a room of, like, we would have LAN parties, and it would always come back to Doom or Duke Nukem 3D. And, like, Doom was that was the serious, you know, that was the big daddy one, but, you know, Duke was the hee-hee boobs one.
I think Doom has aged significantly better than Duke Nukem.
Very much so. But no, it's like, so I've just got so many good kind of memories wrapped up with Doom from 1993. It's just such a fun game, and yeah, I still find myself booting it up and having fun with it even now. It's good. Doom, I'm going to talk about Doom now.
Okay.
Doom 2016. Very dubious of it when I first, like, the previews and like kind of the teaser trailers and things came out for Doom 2016, because there was that weird piss filter. They'd slowed down all of the melee attacks, so it looked like that would literally happen every 2 seconds, and it just kept interrupting everything, and from a viewer's perspective, it wasn't very good. And it was just like, oh, it's just going to be another one of these homogenized modern shooters with Doom slapped on it, and it's just not going to be very good. And the fact that they had an embargo out, like, so late, and that you weren't allowed to talk about it pre-release at all, It was just literally ticking all the boxes of this is gonna suck.
Do you remember the multiplayer?
They released the
beta,
multiplayer beta for free, and it wasn't very good at all. I got fed up with that real fucking quickly.
It was an interesting example of, like, anti-hype.
Yeah, really. I just, like, any kind of interest I did have, it kind of dropped a bit. And then it came out, and I can't remember what I saw that made me go, I fucking need this game. I cannot remember at all. I think someone might have done a review on it, like Jim Sterling did a review on it or something, because the reviews came out very positive.
Yeah.
And I was like, what the fuck, really? After all that bullshit? Are you serious?
After Doom 3 as well.
After Doom 3 as well. Which would have just been a perfectly passable, average, boring kind of game if it didn't have Doom slapped on it. But again, Doom is like, that's my thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, and I played it and I was fucking grinning ear to ear. Because it's like, I feel they really captured how playing Doom back in 1993 felt. It felt like playing, you play Doom's 2016, the first thing you do is wake up and fucking basically just smash in a bunch of zombie scientists. Just fucking obliterate them. You put your armor on, you reject the storyline happening at you, and then you just go through fucking killing things. It's just like, and it's so brutal and it's so over-the-top action, like, violence. It's fucking phenomenal fun. And even though, like, 1993 Doom didn't have any melee finishes or anything like that, it still felt that visceral and that fucking fast. And that's another thing that I immediately noticed about Doom 2016, is that you were basically tearing ass everywhere, just like you were in the old Doom. And I was like, whoa. And then you get the shotgun, and then the soundtrack is fucking fantastic. Mick Gordon is a fucking god. like the intro sequence, you go up in a lift, and you start hearing the E1M1 kind of, it starts getting louder, like with the heavy bass, and like the guy's talking to you, and you just basically, you punch out the fucking the radio in the lift, so you don't have to listen to him. You pick up a shotgun, and just as you reach the top, he cocks the shotgun, and then like perfectly in time with the music. And then it's just like fucking splash screen, Doom, and it's just like It's like I was borderline screaming at that point because I was like, fucking yes!
Because it's the shotgun like the cocking of it actually happens right at the end. It's when the music comes in that the splash screen comes up.
Same thing. Whatever. The way I remembered it was also pretty cool. Unlike Drummer Matt, my memory's terrible. Regardless, I remember the feeling it gave me, which was basically just freaking the fuck out because I'm like, Jesus Christ. Is this a good Doom sequel in 2016? And it honestly, fucking, Jesus Christ, I love that game. It is just captured the feeling of playing 93's Doom perfectly. You are this unstoppable demon murder machine who gives no fucks. You just want to kill all demons, and that is continually kind of shown through, like, the story, the way it goes. Like, you can tell the people there understood what they were working with. The fucking Samuel Hayden keeps going, oh yes, well, we had to siphon energy from hell. That was the only good.
The only way.
It's like, oh, what would you do? And like, just the little, it's like you have to remove 4 of these things to stop something. I can't remember what it is. It's like a big energy swell, and you have to remove these big canisters. And he's like, oh yes, you need to remove them carefully. And you see Doom go, like, he kind of puts his foot down, he stops, and he kind of has a look about, like, you can see he's visibly considering removing them carefully. And then he just goes, nah, and just fucking, like, curb stomps the fuck out of it, while the guy's going, no, you don't need to do that. Okay. You didn't have to smash it, that's irreplaceable. Okay, fine. And then you just carry on and kill more demons, and it's fantastic. And, like, the little Easter eggs you get. So, you can, like, you can find these little levers, and it'll open up, like, a segment of an old Doom map. So, like, from Doom or Doom 2.
Yeah.
And, like, I think every level has one. And when you pull it, it has a little guitar trill from E1M1. Just like, and you're like, what the fuck? And then you go find it, and it's literally it's so strange. It's got the old lighting, it's got the old sprite kind of things, and it's literally just taken straight from it.
When you pick up weapon pickups or ammo or health or something in those secret areas,
the sprite versions.
It's the old sprite versions that obviously rotate like when you're walking around and stuff.
And there's just so much attention to detail and so much genuine love for Doom, like that you can feel as a player. It's like, the people who made this game love Doom. And you can fucking tell. And I'm really kind of nervous about the next Doom.
Doom Eternal?
Doom Eternal. Because I really hope it's good. I really want it to be good because I love 2016 so fucking much.
I think we mentioned this in the E3 video that, like, if anyone can make a good sequel to Doom, it's the people that made Doom.
Yeah.
So, you know.
I love that as a sentence, by the way. If anyone can make a good sequel to Doom, it's the people who made Doom.
Yeah.
Yeah. But no, that's definitely... those two are my number 3.
Okay.
I love them. Drum, what about yours?
Alright, my number 3 is my free choice, which originally was going to be, if I have a second game on PC that I want to include in the list or something. I thought I'd have it as an open choice. However, you'll allow me to do this because of what you're going to think about the games, but I'm choosing a series.
Okay.
Okay.
That's fine.
And the series I'm choosing is FIFA. And as far as you guys are concerned, you think they're all the same. So that counts, right? So...
Okay, this is min-maxing at the highest order, you shit.
Yeah. You did the same with Doom.
Yeah. Okay, but that's... not every single FIFA game is called FIFA.
They kind of are.
Okay, but they all
have different numbers, but as far as you guys are concerned, you think they're all the same. So
okay,
if you can admit to me that each FIFA game is actually individual and different, I will pick one.
I will admit that each individual FIFA game is different, mainly because rosters change and shaders get better.
Yeah, the gameplay feels different.
Like they cost more.
My defense to that, before we move on to talking about more, is that you only need like one friend in your friendship group to have it at any one time.
Yeah.
Because the whole point is that I've been doing... I think the first FIFA game I played was 96, I think.
Old man.
And the first one I properly remember was the 97, the Road to World Cup one, 97, which is one that I had. And the whole point was that you got your mate... If you had the copy, you got your mates round to yours, you got the multi-tap in, you could play up to like 8 player or whatever it was. And then if you didn't have the game, you went round to another mate's. And... I just have so memories through the years, starting from around 97 up until... I've not played one now for a few years, but I can't remember the last one I played, actually. 13 or 14, probably? Right up through uni, so all the way through school especially. Like, you'd spend... you'd go around to mate's house after school and sit and play FIFA, and just the feeling of that, and you get, like, the snacks out, and... Like, I did proper legit, like, LAN parties where I used to take my laptop, actually. I did, like, a big heft of a gaming laptop and did like proper like full on gamery LAN parties, and yet actually I have even fonder memories about just going around to the mates who weren't particularly into video games, and yet we could still sit and play video games together because football was fairly universal amongst my various friend groups, with either like not necessarily going to watch games or getting too much, but like just enjoying it in general. And yeah, I have so many fond memories of for such a long period of time. I think it's going to have to be up there in my top 5 somewhere.
Yeah, no, like I do joke, but I mean, just because I don't get football doesn't mean that people don't have like good football games to play or enjoy. So,
and yeah, I would admit, the progression they feel different quite often between years, but like it is a little bit. You don't really have to have one each year. You could just update the teams. Like, you can update those online, like, with DLC or something. But, like I said, my defense to that is that, not everyone has to own the game. Only 1 in every 4 people has to own a copy. So that's sort of... You only have to buy one actually every 4 years, which seems actually reasonable for buying a sequel. So it kind of balances out in a sort of weird way. And, I've just spent so long hanging out with someone's... And just... Yeah, local multiplayer, man. That's where it's at. Like, I'm all for like online multiplayer, fine, but local multiplayer is where it's at.
You can't quite beat sitting next to someone and who you can like actually punch if they start being a twat.
Yeah. Or more importantly, if you score or you win, you can jump up and dance around them and tease them but it's nicer because it's in person. It doesn't have the same sort of level of hate as online. You're not genuinely, wishing ill thoughts on them. It's just fun to be a bit teasy at the end. But because it's in person, you know the context, you know the tone, and it's just good fun.
I think there is how everything's gone online now, and local multiplayer has been relegated to mostly just a handful of genres. There has been something lost.
Yeah, and don't get me wrong, like, it means you can play with mates all over. Like, I can play games online with you guys at the moment when we're in different countries. So there's very obvious perks of online multiplayer.
Oh, absolutely.
Don't get me wrong.
But it's different.
Yeah, definitely.
It's very different.
I don't have much more to say. Apart from, actually, if you did make me choose my one favourite FIFA game, it would be Pro Evo 3, which isn't a FIFA game. But
sure, yeah.
Because they went in, like, I guess similar to like Call of Duty and Medal of Honor. Back, like, one was better for a while than the other. Like, FIFA was better for a little while. I think on the PS1, FIFA was probably better. Then I think PS2 era Pro Evo was better, and that was when I really got into it. So even now, like, I think there was only for like 3 or 4 years, and then it went back to FIFA. But even now, if I play a FIFA game, I have to go into the options and change the controller mapping to Pro Evo controls, which are only basically swapping circle and square buttons. But one crosses and one shoots, which when you get that wrong on a match, it's really annoying.
No, I can
So
imagine.
I have to go in and be like, hang on, guys. And there's quite a few of my mates who all do the same thing because we all got into it at the same time, which is quite funny. It's like, no, I need to go back to Pro Evo controls. Sorry. But I kind of, they're all so similar, and it's just one every year. So like, I've kind of bodged the series together, which is a little bit cheaty.
Fine.
But that's my number 3 choice.
Dude, I had 2 games for number 3. It's fine. I think you can get away with it.
I'm the only person that hasn't somehow found a way to cheat the system.
Well, I mean, it wasn't very hard for me to find a way to cheat the system.
You only told me some of the rules when we started recording.
Yeah. You're the one who gave us
I
loopholes.
thought pick 5 games was a relatively watertight sentence.
You thought wrong.
At one point, you said pick 5 games, and I was like, can I pick board games? so I haven't broken the system that much. So
Yet.
Gosh darn it.
What about you?
right,
Okay.
number 2.
My number 2,
Number 2.
if we can all get over the fact that number 2 is inherently funny.
It's fine.
It is The Binding of Isaac Rebirth.
Speaking of number 2.
Yeah, that game does contain a lot of number 2s, yes.
So many poops in that game. Is that why you like it? Because of the poops?
It's not because of the poops.
But the poops help.
The poops do help.
The poops help.
No, it's funny because I remember trying to play the original Binding of Isaac, like the first one that's like based in Flash, I believe. And I liked it, but I couldn't play it. I was no good at it. And I tried. I think I put like 20, 30 hours into trying to beat it and get further and further. And I never really felt like I was fully in control of the character. Like, it always felt a little vague. And then Rebirth came out, and I gave it a shot, and it was like, oh, so it's just because it was like a lower frame rate, and it's like it just subtly controlled a bit tighter in Rebirth, and then it was like my game. Like when
that seriously is your game.
Yeah, I mean, hell, when we first started playing it, first started doing the podcast, like, I was talking about The Binding of Isaac then, because that was like dead center of my obsession, trying to beat everything. So yeah, it was my game. I've played something stupid like 700 hours.
I was about to ask if you can just reveal that information.
It's
Full disclosure.
It's a lot. Like I got far enough to like do real Platinum God, but I did that after the Lost got changed, so I didn't do it on its ridiculously difficult version. I did it on a slightly less difficult one.
Slightly less ridiculously
Well,
painful.
you had the Holy Mantle, so it became a lot easier to do. But it's still not a minor challenge.
It is still an achievement.
It is still very much an achievement to do. And yeah, like, the game, like, at its core is just this kind of small little roguelike game, and just the core gameplay loop of it I just find really, really fun. Just finding all these upgrades that do weird things to your attacks, and then figuring out the ones that will work best together, finding cool synergies between them. And then the fact that the whole general aesthetic of everything, the religious symbolism, the goriness, the bizarre mutated things looks like a very colourful version of a Choking Victim album cover.
I'd say it looks how Choking Victim sounds.
That's actually fair.
Which is just squelchy, pukey, blood and pus. Like, no offence to crust-punk, but it ain't my thing, and it does sound gross.
But I don't know, there's just something really, really cool about it. The only thing I don't like about the game compared to the original one is I do kind of like the old Danny B soundtrack better, but
yeah.
I know there's reasons that it wasn't used. But yeah, just, I don't know, it's a game that despite being, like, quite difficult, once you've played it enough and you're kind of used to it, it becomes the sort of game that you can just idly play, like, because whilst there is a
podcast game,
yeah,
well.
kind of a podcast game you can play whilst you're listening to something or while you're watching something, you know, just having that something to kind of occupy yourself because you're a filthy millennial who can't just do one thing.
That makes me laugh. It's like, oh god, why are you gonna like watch TV and shit? It's like, because I hate sitting there staring at something, not fucking doing anything, Margaret.
Yeah.
Just saying. And I can pay attention to a game or a movie and like fucking feed my fucking Tamagotchis or whatever while I'm playing with my pogs.
Multitasking, Margaret.
Yeah, multitasking, Margaret. Learn it.
But yeah, and it becomes just something that's kind of oddly relaxing considering how horrifying the themes of the game are.
Deeply, deeply troubling themes.
Yeah, which is kind of, it's so surreal, like how it is this game that goes to such dark places, but it kind of does so in such a light manner sometimes. You almost don't realise how bad it really is in those terms. But
I remember you explaining the premise to Zoe, our saxophone player, and just the look of horror forming on her face.
Well, without saying anything about what she does, she works with kids, so
she likes kids, so that was very horrifying for the poor lady.
I think actually for the recent Binding of Isaac card game, one of the like ways to unlock like stretch goal things was to post videos of you explaining the story of the Binding of Isaac to your mother. And if so many people did that, then it like unlocked the next level. Like they did shit like that.
Awesome.
Ooh, I want to make a joke, but I don't want to make a joke. It's like, you know when something's really a bit too easy and really fucking dark? Oh, nah, I'm gonna leave
It's
it.
fine.
I'm gonna save that for a rainy day.
We'll let people piece that together from things that have been said here and there.
And they will all assume it's much worse than what you're actually going to say.
Yeah, but that's fine.
That's fine, I'm used to that.
But yeah, so Binding of Isaac, fucking great, love it. Played far too much of it, still play it to this day when I've got like half an hour spare and nothing better to do in my time. So yeah, good video game. Snipe, you're number 2.
Blood.
Oh, a bloody number 2, I see.
Yeah, 1 unit whole blood. Talking about it's like,
I'm very sorry for that immature joke. The person responsible has been punished.
No, he hasn't.
I'll punish myself later, in private.
Okay.
I've been reading too much Ian Watson.
Yeah, that's punishing
Is that the
yourself
punishment?
enough.
Yeah.
Yeah, actually, yeah, that's
Yeah,
it.
that's a fucking punishment.
I've got like the last like few chapters of the book to go, so that will be my punishment.
Why though? Anyway. Blood.
Blood.
Gallons of the stuff. Nothing quite like it for cooling the mud.
Yeah, I was going to say that. Nice.
Great minds. But yeah, no, Blood, another build engine game.
Yes.
A bit like Doom.
Well, Doom's not build engine.
It is now. I just wanted to say Doom again, because I know you don't like it when I say it like that. But yeah, Blood, monolith game. Very similar to kind of Doom, like the whole sprites and things like that. And it's basically like the goth comedy version of Doom.
Yeah.
And I love it.
It's Doom that's somehow more 90s than Doom.
I know, it's great. It's so dumb. It's fucking fantastic. I love that game. It's just... I loved it as a kid because it was just fucking... It was grim. It was dark. You literally wake up in a crypt and quote Evil Dead.
Yeah.
Well, Army of Darkness, sorry. And it's just like... From there on in, I was like, this is so fucking cool. Ooh, and like, you look in the mirror and your like face is super shadowy, but you've got red glowing eyes because you're basically an evil fucking servant of some dark god. Which
Chernobog, isn't
it's
it?
Chernobog, yeah. It's so fucking cool. Like, God, it was early 3D. The intro for that, when you're like hanging out, because his main character Caleb and his girlfriend, lady friend, whatever, Ophelia, basically being told that him and all of the other lieutenants have failed, so time to get killed or tortured. So he turns like one of them into a spider and stuff like that. So every level is kind of like, every level segments rather, like chapter, I guess.
Yeah,
I guess it's like you know going and hunting down one of the old lieutenants, like Gabriel. While Gabriel is, I think Gabriel is an Irish man, whereas in Blood 2 they change him to Gabriella, who's like a giant like African fucking queen. She is amazing, just like total tank. But I mean, Blood 2 is for another day. Many problems with that, but no, you've got to go through that. It's like I liked the story and like. I really did, because that wasn't a massive thing back then, you know, like, the story was always more implied than anything else, and, like, starting to get little droplets of story in gameplay was pretty amazing, especially
for a first-person shooter.
Especially for a first-person shooter, it was fantastic. The weapons were creative and interesting. You had a couple of things where there were fire dogs, and there was one of the weapons which was a Zippo lighter and a can of hairspray. And that wouldn't do anything for dogs, and I always thought that was really cool.
Having, like, elemental strengths and things.
Yeah, like that kind of thing, and, you know, it's just, the humour, like, again, the humour was very kind of, like, gallows humour, and it was just so much fun. Like, the levels I liked to have, everything was kind of grim and grey, but it was still very vibrant in a weird way. You know what I mean? Like, they have, like, a bunch of levels. Like, there's one that's basically just The Shining. Like, you actually find Jack Torrance's, like, fucking frozen corpse.
Yeah, I
and stuff
that.
like that. And it's fun, and I just really dug the setting, because it's, like, set in kind of, like, the early 1900s. Well, no, I think it's might be a bit later than that. It's, like, 1920s, I think it's set in. Or around A-War, because there's one that, like, you start off and there's an air raid siren going off.
There's an air raid siren at World War II.
Yeah. So it's like, it's quite old school. And I don't know, I dug how it was kind of like, you know, like, I liked the setting, I liked the main character a lot, I thought it was just very interesting, the gunplay was fun, the enemies were interesting, and fucking, oh god, I'm still a little bit wary about those giant fucking spider things till this day. But no, I just really liked it, and it's just something, I've completed it on stream like twice.
Yeah.
It's something I could stream until the cows come home, because it's just such a fun game to play, and it just oozes with a lot of charisma and just stupid fun gunplay. So yeah, I can't help but love it. I know a lot of people probably will think it's just crap or very basic or cheesy.
I think the thing is, when you get into like favourite stuff, there's it's so subjective.
Yeah.
Like,
it
and
is.
nostalgia plays such a heavy role, and I think
I was about to say,
Yeah.
like, if someone was coming into it for the first time now, from what you're saying about it, you know, it's being very 90s, it wouldn't have a particularly good first impression, maybe.
Yeah, no, but I mean, I'd
Yeah.
say people should try it anyway, because it's so dumb and fantastic.
I think like nostalgia is one of those things that, on the one hand, it's important to acknowledge that your nostalgia can colour like the more objective elements of it. Like, you can sort of like look at something and go, oh, this is like a good game, and it might not be, it's just you like it. But it's a totally valid reason to like something, though.
I would say, especially for the time, it was an incredibly underrated game. Because we had other things out like Duke and Shadow Warrior, which honestly I find very uncomfortable to play now. There's a lot of, like, it was a different time back then. People we didn't realise how hurtful we were being with certain things.
Yeah.
So, but Blood is pretty damn neutral when it comes to that kind of stuff. So it's something that I can still enjoy thoroughly now. Yeah. That's definitely my favourite number 2.
It's your favourite number 2.
Draw my butch, what about your number 2?
My number 2 is my PS1 game,
Okay.
Yes.
Command and Conquer Red Alert 2.
Ooh.
And after the bus goes past, I'll tell you why.
I think you should leave that in. Because that's fantastic.
It's fucking great. I can get quite into the, you know, top-down RTS games, and there's not been that many recently, but I think Red Alert 2 was one of the peaks for me, just from what I played. Mostly because, so I have very, very fond memories of going around. I had a mate who lived around the corner, like a 2 or 3 minute walk. And I used to pack up my original PlayStation and controller, memory card and stuff, and a link cable into a backpack, go round to his house, and then kick his brother out of his brother's room. He had a younger
Just
brother.
kick his brother.
Yeah, he can go away. Sometimes he watched, he joined in, but we used to take the put the 2 PlayStations like in the doorway of his room and his brother's room with a link cable just about reaching between the two of them. And then taking they both had like, you know, little 14-inch CRT TVs in their rooms.
Oh, big screens back in those days then.
Exactly. Taking my mates off the wall because the cable from the PlayStation that had to be in the doorway wouldn't reach the wall. You know, you had a wall mounted. You know, like old school wall mounting, you know, on the pivot thing.
Yeah. It was like a proper...
Had to take the TV off and put that on the floor. His brother's was on like a side table, so we didn't have to move that. But we had to rearrange the furniture and put these TVs so we could be in different rooms and then just sit and spend hours sitting and playing local multiplayer Command and Conquer. Mostly, I think, like us 2 against 2 computers or against 3 computers or something to make it fair. Occasionally against each other and occasionally a bit of a free-for-all, but it was still good to, like, the whole, like, because I played, like, I don't even know if it had split screen, but the whole idea of being able to do in different rooms so you couldn't see what each other was doing. Like, before you really had online multiplayer was just... But you could still close enough to, like, yell through to the other room and be like, oh, I'm about to go and attack now. Oh, I'll come with you. Oh, yeah.
No, I could totally understand.
It was just like
play.
It was like almost the whole ritual as well, having to, like, take a console out. Because his brother had a PS1, but it was the, like, you know, the one that was called the PS1.
Yeah.
So that didn't have the link cable port.
Oh, I didn't know I didn't have that.
It was really
No, it
chopped
didn't.
down. They were kind of marketed as you could like a TV screen for them. They were kind of marketed as like more of a portable thing. So
yeah, didn't have a link cable, so I had to lug our PlayStation round, which was just so much fun. And in terms of like strategy, there was like Tech Tree. I can't even remember exactly. I haven't played it for a long time. I haven't played it for a long time, so I can't exactly remember. But it was the Tech Trees or things. But there seemed to be just enough variation in how you could play it that it just kept us going long enough. I mean, if I went back and played it now, like there'd probably be no depth to it at all compared to like some games of a similar style. But just for pure nostalgia reasons, like I had to have an RTS game in there somewhere, and there's probably technically better ones, but for pure nostalgia, we had such a good time with that. It's got to be up there.
No, I totally understand that. There is something to be said for those games that you played with friends, or like you had to go around your friend's house to play or whatever, so you have like these very distinct memories of things.
Yeah.
I was the friend people would come around. Like I remember a girl I used to know when I was very young. She would literally, I don't think she liked me at all. She would literally just come round and then be like, "Can we play Doom?" And why we play Doom? She was like, "Can I watch you play Doom so I can get scared and cry and then tell my mum that you've hit me?"
Well,
she was a fucking weird kid. Okay.
I think I know which one you're talking about now. You've said that story. You've told me tales of this person before.
Probably have, yeah.
But yeah, no, that I get that. I get it.
I don't have much more to say about it than that.
Okay.
I've played it for a long time, and I can't remember exactly, but it was great. I have big nostalgia feels.
Okay, well, we thought what we'd do is, before we get to the number ones,
Ichiban.
We would do a little bit of a roundup of honourable mentions.
So,
And by we thought we'd do this, we mean Matt had come up with honourable mentions when he came up with his list that had nothing to do with the question that I asked.
Oh, getting spicy.
fine.
But this was
I
actually,
had literally no time to do it, so the fact that I had something to talk about, I'm happy.
It's fine. It's totally fine. But the idea of honourable mentions was a good one, so we decided to use it. We stole it.
Yeah.
So just going to mention a few games that have not made the top 5, but are like games that were big in like our lives or whatever, and we just want to kind of mention as being good things that we have some like nice memories of. For me, it would be Team Fortress 2, because I remember that being like a game that
We've racked up like 2,000 hours on that.
and you and I used to play all the time, like when we were first together. Like that was a game that sort of is prominent in our early relationship. So that's.
I need to amend the notepad file real quick.
It's fine. I've mentioned it now. You don't have to feel awkward about it. But yeah, so kind of fond memories of it. It's not the same game it was, but you know,
Not even remotely.
It is still going though. It still gets a lot of play. If you actually look at like playtime and things.
Oh
apparently.
yeah.
Yeah, but
So-
everything is like super fucking ugly, and there's like a billion new weapons every week, and I don't have the energy to
Yeah.
keep up with that at all.
Yeah, that's fair.
Second thing is just the Mass Effect series in general.
Good choice.
Okay, good.
And even Andromeda, because I do still like Andromeda. It's deeply flawed, but I still think it is a fun game to play. And I think if you can play it now where the technical issues aren't so bad, and you can overlook some of the story issues, you can. I still think there's an enjoyable game in there.
I do hope there is a mod to remove PB.
I like PB.
No, that's the thing. I'm joking. I don't hate her. I just think a lot of the things she says are like, "Hi guys, I'm so random." Holds up Spork.
It's
It's really kind of annoying.
She is a bit peak Joss Whedon.
She's worse than that.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just.
But yeah.
She can be a bit grating.
Fair enough. There is also FTL, Faster Than Light, to give it its full title. FTL,
yeah.
Faster Than Light,
I
because
see.
that's
Good
an
game.
annoying title. But that's it. Good game, really like it. Still come back and have a few rounds of it to this day. Just thoroughly enjoy it. The PS1 game, Demolition Racer, which is like... which is basically it's a late era PS1 game, so not that many people seem to remember it. But basically, if you liked Destruction Derby, or Destruction Derby, as I'm aware most people pronounce it, but having literally been born in a city called Derby, that's spelt like that, I will never ever call it Destruction Derby, except to say
obviously.
why it's wrong. But it's basically like someone went and played Destruction Derby and went, okay, what's every problem with this game? Every minor issue? And let's fix that. That's Demolition Racer. It's fucking great. If you can get a chance to play it, play it. Also, lots of Fear Factory on the soundtrack, which is kind of interesting. There's also the Dawn of War series that...
Oh, yeah, those are okay.
Yeah, which whilst I wouldn't put them in my top, 5 or anything, I've definitely played them a lot, and there is... I do really, really like them, and, cumulatively, they are a fairly large part of my kind of gaming history. And especially because they've, been a backbone of this the YouTube channel for a while as well. There's also Front Mission, which I have a lot of nostalgia for. The first Front Mission on the SNES, mostly for similar reasons to Matt's stuff, where I'd go around to a mate's house and play his version of it, which was an untranslated version on his super wild card pirated version of it.
Okay.
And just fucking loved it then. And a few years back, well, I say a few years back, it's 8 years ago now, I went and played through a fan-translated version. I think it was just before the DS official translated version finally came out, and thoroughly enjoyed it. Good game. And final shout out for the Ridge Racer series that was a staple of me playing the PS1 back in the day. And I still think Ridge Racer 1, despite being janky as fuck, there's still something really appealing about the way it looks. It's so vibrant. It's an early 3D. I just love the way that looks.
Is that the one where the cars are glued to the track?
Yes.
Yeah, I always found that so weird.
It feels so weird. And the third one, Rage Racer, I especially loved because it was kind of a more career-based one where you had to buy cars and get further. I just really liked it. But yeah, those are my honourable mentions. Snipe, what are yours?
Oh, Call of Duty Modern Warfare. Just really loved that game. Fuck the multiplayer. I hate Call of Duty multiplayer. It's disgusting. Single player, however, fantastic. Fucking great. Modern Warfare 2 was also pretty good. Tekken 3.
Tekken 3's good.
Tekken 3 was a fantastic
Good.
game. I spent so much time playing that. Crazy amount of time. Mass Effect series. Basically for the same reasons that you've said. I'd say I've got to put in Resident Evil 5 as well. I mean, the honeymoon period isn't massively over yet, but I have been enjoying that game so fucking much. Oh my god, have I been enjoying that game. So I gotta put it in here. Divinity Original Sin 2. I've recently started Ash playing that, and he's super fucking into it as well. World of Warcraft. Kind of got to mention that being my number one depression game. It's just so many hours put into that game. Holy hell. Not even a fantastic game, honestly. I wish Blizzard would give a fuck. But, you know, I played a lot of Warcraft as a kid, so, you know, I've got a lot of nostalgia tied into the series.
To be fair, I should have probably mentioned World of Warcraft because I played so much of it as well.
Yeah, oh well. And Space Marine.
No comment.
Space Marine is fantastic. Fucking love Space Marine, and I'm gutted we'll never get another one. Now I'm sad.
Yeah.
And then last one... Well, no. The second last one is Crash Bandicoot 3 Warped.
Shit, yes.
That
why isn't
game
that in my
was
top 5?
so good, and I really want the
Crash.
Insane Trilogy, which they basically just remake all of them, like the first 3.
Crash Bandicoot, the PS1 Crash Bandicoots were good.
So fucking good.
So good.
Damn, those games are great. And my last one is Tenchu, Stealth Assassins.
Oh yeah,
Because I fucking love that game. That actually led me to accidentally cutting up my brother's throat.
with a toy sword.
With a plastic sword with a mold line error. That literally, like, we were playing Tenchu in real life because we had a big hallway. And I was like, aha! And then I, like, ran my plastic sword across his throat and actually cut him. So, yeah. It's like, it sounds way more dramatic than it is, but yeah. So yeah, those are my honourable mentions. I'm sure I've missed out a bunch of them.
Oh,
And they were in no
Yeah,
particular
as soon
order.
as we listen through to this, we're just going to be like, fuck, why did I say that?
Yeah, exactly. Drama, what about your honourable mentions?
After listening to yours, all of the Crash Bandicoot games.
Good man, good man.
Crash Team Racing, actually, you didn't mention.
Crash Team Racing.
When I first played, because I was always PlayStation guy, I'd never really played a Mario Kart game, so Crash Team Racing was my Mario Kart.
It was
I get
pretty
that.
decent.
I've heard it's great. I never played it though.
It was
Honestly, the first Mario Kart game I played was Double Dash at uni, I think. Whereas Crash Team Racing was the one that I had growing up, and it was great. Probably not as good as Mario Kart.
I'd say
but
it wasn't, but like if you'd not experienced, because I hadn't experienced it before, and that was the first kart racer I'd really ever played, and I thought it was pretty good.
Yeah, exactly. On my list is Tony Hawk's 2, because it's great and the soundtrack is amazing.
Good
but
choice.
actually, thinking about it, that's Aggressive Inline actually, I think, overtakes Tony Hawk's 2.
Oh dang! I never played that actually.
Well, then put
very-
Tony Hawk's 2 into my list then, because
Yeah. Okay. Well, I didn't know. I don't know if we've got a
Tony
limit, so I
Hawk's
can
1 and
either
3.
keep Tony Hawk's there or not.
you
but
are allowed as
whatever.
many as you want, provided
Yeah.
you're not talking for the next 15 minutes.
Yeah.
But Aggressive Inline is great. Was it PS2? I honestly can't remember.
No
Also,
idea.
I want to
It's
put Jet
kinda
Set
like-
Radio back into mine.
It's happening.
It's happening. It's happening.
Aggressive Inline possibly had a better soundtrack than Tony Hawk's 2, which is
Blasphemy.
saying something. Yeah, but it had a lot of... Yeah, I don't think anyone else played it, basically.
Quick question to everyone here.
Yes.
How influential on your music tastes were the Tony Hawk's games and the spin-off things that were similar?
Fucking massively.
Like half the bands I listen to now, or bands that cause me to listen to the bands I listen to now, I got from Tony Hawk's. Like,
That is true for me, and yet also not true, because I massively enjoyed it at the time, and then just never really looked into it beyond the tracks on Tony Hawk's 2. So I never really got into the sort of, especially the punk ska type end of things, until joining a punk ska band.
that'll do it.
Really, the soundtrack was one of my, even at the time, was one of my favourite soundtracks, and yet I never made the step to looking into the actual bands beyond what was on the soundtrack.
well, I was
whatever
downloading
reason.
stuff on Grokster at the time, so
You personally killed Metallica. They're not even about anymore because
no,
of you.
they were angry about Napster. No one was angry about Grokster.
Yeah, whatever.
Because most people didn't know what it was.
I'm still mad about Winnie Upload.
Yeah, only because of Maximum the Hormone.
Yeah.
Couple left. Tom Clancy's Ghost Recon. Purely because that was a sort of similar one. I went, this is the PS2's era, but after we got done with Red Alert 2, this was the game that me and that same mate played. Now split screen multiplayer, so we didn't have to do the faff with the TVs. Although it was still on the little 14-inch TV, so split screen was anyway.
Yeah, rough.
But we just spent hours on that, going through doing like no kill runs on it. and like spending ages doing it full stealth, and it was just so much fun. Final Fantasy VII. It's got to be in this list.
Absolutely.
I mentioned to you either at the start of the podcast or before we recorded, if we did this list in like a couple of weeks when I finished replaying it, I think it would probably easily jump up into the top 5. But because I can't remember enough about it the first time round, because it was literally 20 years ago.
I guess.
And I've only played through the first. I think I finished the first disc, so about presumably first third of the game. I don't know if it quite works like that.
Roughly.
But that's so. I think once, and I'm fucking enjoying it again. So I think that would be bumped up. But for now, that's in the honourable mentions. Last 2, Pokemon Gold, fucking on the Game Boy, fucking great. Completely forgot about that until we were talking, and then I was like, oh crap, that has to go in the list.
Okay, yeah, I'm gonna put Pokemon Yellow in there as well.
Because I had blue, because me and my brothers had blue, red, and yellow. My dad used to go to America with work a few times, like once every few years, and they happened to line up with when Pokemon Blue, Red, and Yellow were out in the States and not out here. So we got those, and we were like, the fuck is this? We'd never heard anything about it. And it was amazing. And then a similar thing happened, although we obviously knew about it a bit more, but with Gold, Silver, and I can't remember what the third one they got in that series.
It wasn't like Ruby, was it?
I can't remember, but the similar thing happened, and we got them a bit early just because they happened to line up nicely with a trip.
So I'm just endlessly amused by the idea of like a little tiny drummer mat, of like, you know, with his little propeller hat on, because that's how children look. Yeah. And your dad being like with a big, generous and warm smile, handing you a copy of like Pokemon Blue, and you just looking up, holding it,
and a Game Boy to play on it.
Yeah, and a Game Boy to play on it, and you just looking
ridiculous.
up and going, Dad, the fuck is this? And then like your brother's doing the exact same fucking thing. Your dad's like, this is why I go to America, because I just want children to be happy. God dang it.
Oh no, we weren't happy. We were not, because he used to be away for like a month at a time.
Aww.
But anyway,
can't just anyway that. I feel horrible for you.
It's fine. It didn't happen too often. Enough often to get Game Boys when they happened to be released.
Okay. So
and a Tamagotchi at one point as well, but I don't know if that counts as a video game, but they were fun. Pokemon Gold was great, especially playing it with brothers and getting the link kit, the trading, especially when the Game Boy Colors came out and you could trade through the infrared thing.
Oh yeah,
that's fucking great. Having 3 people in the same house to trade with was great.
Mine didn't work because I had to buy mine years and years after when I was at college, because we were just too poor to get that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But when it was actually out. So like, I remember I went and I bought a trading cable because everyone else was making fun of me for playing Pokemon. And I just trade Pokemon with myself, so I had yellow, blue, and red going at the same time. But yellow was the first one I got, and I loved it. And my little Pikachu followed me around. I called him Frank.
Awesome.
Oh wait, no, his name was Bruce, actually, after Bruce Campbell.
Oh, yeah. Nice.
It's a fantastic boy.
After the future van that I was going to get.
Yes. I named it after the future van you were going to get, obviously.
Which was named after Bruce Campbell, so
yeah, Bruce Van Bull.
Exactly. I think we only had them because they were dramatically cheaper in the States.
Yeah.
And the last one, honourable mention, it's got to be Pokemon Go. Not for how much gameplay there is or for how not janky it was for a long time, but just what it did to the community of people playing it. It got so many people like who aren't into games playing together and going out on days out together. And like that first summer when it came out, you go to any park and there's just so many people around, and it's like coming up, oh, have you seen this Pokemon? Oh no, go over there.
Oh, there's a Lapras here and blah blah blah.
They didn't even I think they just brought in trading actually, but none of that was in it, and there was like not really much to do. But that first summer when it came out, for like the amount of positivity going around just like in the air.
Yeah, just like people just coming up to you and having a chat, being like, oh yeah, I've been playing, like, I remember when we were doing the album recording, because that's basically when it came out.
Yeah. Well, that was the first few days of album recording was when it was just out in the States and not in the UK.
And you could cheat out the system.
I cheated.
You cheated yours and we hadn't, and then it came out everywhere else, and we were just all like, yes.
Yeah, like what was it, Zoe and I? Because we were on a brioche run because Zoe's incredibly southern.
That's possibly the whitest thing I've ever heard anyone say.
We were on a brioche run. You see, we'd already got the lovely rosé because it's summery. I don't know if that you drink. I don't know. The Punisher taught me that apparently you drink rosé during the summer. I don't fucking know. But yeah, and we were just buying a bunch of shit for dinner and a bunch of snacks, and we were just sitting there like on the conveyor belt waiting to be served. And just, had Pokemon Go open, and like this older couple behind us like tapped us on the shoulders, like, "Oh, you playing that?" And we were like, "Yeah, no. Do you play?" And they were like, we're trying to get into it. Like, the kids are really into it, so we want to try. And we were just talking about Pokemon, and it was just like so nice. And then when we left, they were driving off, and they pipped and waved at us, and it was like, damn. And then we saw a couple, like a little girl and a brother, being like, "Excuse me, have you seen a coughing?" And it was the cutest thing, and we were like, "We'll walk you over there to get you a coughing." So it was just so sweet and lovely.
Yeah, that's great. So I thought, in the interest of this being a positivity, best things, I think someone's got to at least mention that.
Yeah, no, good choice.
It's definitely one of those things that I think is a very memorable thing in sort of gaming history of the last few years.
It's just sad that it's not still going.
Yeah, one of the few gaming memories from the last few years that isn't kind of depressing. Yeah. So it's cool. I like it. Shall we get to our number ones then?
Yeah, number ones.
Oh yeah, shit. Okay.
Because we've been recording for quite a while and we haven't even got to the last of the list. I'm
surprised. Sorry.
I'm really surprised how long this has lasted. Actually.
Yeah, I was like, this isn't going to last more than an hour. It'll be a nice short one. It'll be just
It's never short.
Oh, Matt likes the short ones. Well, I mean, you do actually. Yeah.
I mean.
Never mind.
Anyway, my number one.
What's your number one?
Something that has been mentioned a couple of times already, and is a surprise to no one because I have
FIFA 2014.
Yes. Because I have explicitly mentioned this is my favourite game on multiple occasions, and I won't talk about it too much considering it's been talked about at length and will be talked about at length to go on in future episodes. But Final Fantasy VII is my absolute most favouriteest game of all time.
Okay.
It is a very good game, and I love it a lot. And I have spent far too much of my life playing that video game.
Or not enough.
Every time I try and play other Final Fantasy games, I have the problem of going, well, you could be playing this one you haven't played before, or you could just play Final Fantasy VII again.
That is a very real problem.
Like, the amount of times I have just, because actually beating the game from start to finish, I've only actually done twice, because it is such a long game, but the amount of times I've just played, the intro bombing mission, and then to maybe beating the airbuster, up to there, just because I've just been I've got a day where I've got nothing better to do, so I'll go and play through the first chunk of Final Fantasy VII again. And my big saves that I have beaten it on, those saves I've put hundreds of hours into. And
I'm kind of tempted to start up a new game, honestly.
Do it. Like I said, I played it through recently, and it still holds up.
It does, because I watched you play it through. I was saying, when we first moved in, we didn't have the internet for fucking ages, so it was just guess we'll just play Final Fantasy VII.
Yeah.
So I sat there watching. It's fantastic.
My only real problem with it is Cloud. Look, I love you, man, but why you got to pine after Ares so much when Tifa is right there?
Tifa is the best. I feel that this is a reflection of the time and for the writing of her, how it's not very good, and how she's literally oh, yeah, I'll date you if you be my bodyguard. It's okay, that's not cute, Japan. Not over here. We don't think that's cute. We think that's really fucking irritating. And she really doesn't have much of a personality apart from, I'm a pure girl.
Yeah.
Who's important?
Yeah, I mean, she wants to have fun more than Tifa does.
Yeah.
But the thing is, I think Tifa's just she's. I mean, I'm not gonna harp on Ares for not being capable, but Tifa is capable. She gets shits done. She has a direction. She's not constantly being oh well, I could, if you cleaned the floor, I might date you. I hate that kind of if you do this, I'll date you. It's how about I don't fucking throw you out the window?
Yeah, but positive today.
Yeah.
At least she dies.
I've literally just gone past that bit. You can fuck off.
Okay, no.
Yes,
I talk a big game, but even that part moves me to tears because
honestly,
it is very well
the
done.
the fight you do straight after she dies,
Heartbreaking. It's like, you know what?
Yeah, with the music.
with
ATB,
Ares,
so you can like, wipe your tears away while you're fighting.
like with Ares theme playing whilst
Yeah.
you're fighting. I can't remember which Genova it is. Is it Genova?
Yeah.
Is it Genova Death? Or
I
is
don't
it
think
Genova
so.
Life?
Yeah,
I think it's Genova
that's
Life.
around then.
I
can't
can
remember.
never remember which Genova
Yeah.
is which. I'll be
There's a
perfectly honest.
few.
Because
No,
I
I
think the
have
last
no
one
idea.
is Synthesis,
Yeah.
I think. But anyway, as you're fighting that, like, yeah, I joke about like disliking Ares and stuff.
I
but honestly,
play it up for laughs, honestly.
Yeah.
She is just my least favourite.
the only
That's
character,
all.
the only character that actually kind of annoys me is Kate Sith, just because.
He's just kind of there.
I think I've been told like the name is supposed to be pronounced radically different because it's actually like a Gaelic name.
Yeah, but
And I can never remember how I'm supposed to pronounce it, but I'll continue to pronounce it the way I did as a kid.
it's probably
because
like Kashish or something. I don't know.
it's the same reason why I will
Kajit.
always call Yuffie as opposed to Yuffie, because I always called
Like,
her Yuffie as a
Yuffie
kid.
is not
Yeah.
how you pronounce it.
Well, no.
It's like, okay, if we're going for like Japanese pronunciation,
Yeah.
Tifa is correct and Yuffie is also correct.
Yeah.
Whereas we're talking English pronunciation, Tifa is correct and Yuffie is correct, because if it was one F, it would be Yuffie,
Yeah.
but it's two Fs. And
Yuffie.
the Tifa is like, it's a single F. If it was Tifa, it would be two Fs.
Yeah.
So, and also it's chocobo, like chocolate. Not,
Yeah.
wow, I love chocobo.
It's fine. We did go off on this massive rant.
I will
earlier this
continue
year.
to go on
It's
this fucking
fi-
massive
it's
rant
fine.
if people
Again-
keep fucking things wrong.
It's fine. Calm down.
No.
It's okay.
Oh, I'm getting upset.
Don't get upset. This is a positive episode. Just dial it back. It's okay.
I'm positive that makes me angry.
Well, you can be angry. It's fine.
Okay.
But yeah, I fucking love the game. It's fantastic. I've talked at length about it on multiple occasions. Best video game ever for me. Love it. Good. Chocobos are great. Fucking
Yeah.
love it. Yeah.
Ugh, your choice is so much better than mine.
Well, it's not too late to be better, like me. So yeah, that's my number one. So, Snipe, what is your number one?
My number one is gonna shock everyone, honestly. It's Metal Gear Solid 3. Snake Eater. Yeah, I know. I'm completely shocked everyone with that. I have, again, spoken at length about how much I love this fucking game. But I will do a quick top, like, a bit of a, what's the word?
Summary?
Recap. There we go.
Recap. Yeah.
Metal Gear Solid 3 is really good. The characters are really good. The story is a little dumb, but told in such an earnest and wonderful way. The gameplay is jank, honestly. Metal Gear controls didn't start making sense until MGS4, and that's probably the only good thing about MGS4. So yeah, no, it's just, I really like the survival elements. That was really new and interesting, especially for the time. It's just not something you'd really had to really do in games before. Is your character is hungry, therefore their wounds won't heal as quick, and you're like, okay, shit, so I gotta feed this guy and make sure that what I'm feeding him isn't poisonous, and if he likes it, then he'll recover more stamina and be more full and shit like that. And the camo index was a fantastic introduction, and CQC I never really used because I was bad at it.
It was an interesting addition that you kind of didn't have to use much, wasn't it?
Yeah, really. You could do it in the boss fight, which, that's another thing. The boss is probably one of the best female characters in video games. She is fantastic, especially coming from Kojima, who, originally he wanted her to, have it, the big scar she's got. Originally he wanted that to be a tattoo, and she was going to be a sniper, so every time she fired, her tits would jiggle and it would look like the snake was moving. And yet he came from that and made the boss a damn good female character.
I don't know how. He occasionally manages to do a really good female character, and I have no idea how he manages
The
it.
man who came out with the boss, a strong female character in the way she's not I'm gonna beat up men, because that's what some people think a strong female character is, but no, she's fucking strong. Not just emotionally, but physically, like, no, she's not even strong physically. She is
Capable.
She is capable. She is way more capable than Big Boss, the guy you're playing as. She kicks his ass because she's better than he is. She's just straight up. She's more skilled. She's more disciplined. She can completely emotionally separate because she is that dedicated to her cause. She is just better than him. And, like, it's not kind of like, haha, Snake, I'm a girl and I beat you. It's just, no, I am a soldier. I am your mentor and I am better than you. It's that kind of thing. And then she kind of basically, like, she defects and it's like throws everything into disarray. And it's like you've got this whole thing that Snake's going through, this massively horrible emotional trauma of basically, like, close friend, family member, mother kind of relationship with this woman who's literally just gone, yeah, no, I denounce you and everything you stand for. And it's this horrible kind of thing, and like, while he's also going to investigate all this bullshit and this new Metal Gear, like the Shaggerhard and all this other bullshit, and she is this looming threat over him. Constantly, the whole thing is, you have to assassinate the boss. That's one of your primary objectives. And you don't want to do that, because she's such a fantastic fucking character, and she obviously means so much to Snake. And there's like Eva's in between fucking muddying the lines and all this kind of stuff. And it's so good. I love the boss so much because, yeah, the man who came out with fucking the boss came out with Quiet. Who's like, I breathe through my skin, so I have to literally just dry hump you while wearing like a bunch of string in the helicopter. It's like, again, no shade if somebody wants to just wear a bunch of strings and dry hump you, but the fact that it's done in such a creepy manner.
Yeah.
It's like, it's kind of shocking that the same person came out with these two very, very, very different characters. But yeah, no, it's like, that's fantastic. The gunplay is, well, it's the Metal Gear game. It's tricky. Stealth is good. There's a bunch of twists and turns. The music, I could talk for days about how fantastic the music is.
The music is really good in Snake Eater.
It is phenomenal. Absolutely fantastic. The boss fights are good. The end boss fight is very unconventional and just fan-fucking-tastic. It's a classic sniper duel where you'll spend most of your time sneaking about and locating the other person. And it's just great.
It's also genuinely funny.
It's also very funny.
Despite having a lot of heavy themes of, like, nuclear war and shit.
Like, just grim.
It's like peak codec conversation.
Yeah, that was really the last one where, I mean, I haven't played 5 because I'm staying loyal to the boss, to David Hayter.
To your boss.
To my boss. But, like, MGS4 it was just like, hey, Snake, I'm calling you in your codec to remind you that, children die. It's like, thanks, Otacon.
The ones in MGS4 are purely perfunctory to just move the story on.
Yes, and they're constantly like, oh, Snake, by the way, you need to be doing this. 2 seconds later, Snake, don't forget to do this. 4 minutes, like 4 seconds later, it's like, hey, Snake, do you know that, like, everything that you love will die one day? Okay, bye. Just want to make sure that you're feeling sad.
I mean, you're not far off.
It's fucking... Yeah. But MGS3 has the balance of dealing with incredibly heavy themes, very, very uncomfortable fucking themes. Like, there's nuclear war, there's all these horrible kind of, like, casualties of war, collateral, civilian deaths, the whole... What the public here is literally 2% of it, Like, there's double crossing, there's triple crossing, there's fucking love, like, true love, marriage, all that fucking stuff, all this grim shit, and, like, sexual assault, they kind of cover that kind of thing, and, like, honeypots and how mentally taxing that is on Eva. And then they start talking about vampires, and, like...
And there's a man who shoots bees at you.
There's a man who shoots fucking bees at you that he built, that he fucking cultivates in his own body like a weirdo. There's the fucking fear who you can't fight with a straight face.
The fear.
The fear, come into my web. Like, could I
Kinda not.
But yeah, you get all this stuff and, like... And it works so perfectly. You have the crocodile cap.
It's like the goofiest, most serious game.
I know.
And you know what I think it is?
And it's fucking fantastically done, because everything in the context of playing it works perfectly.
I think it's because it takes being serious, like, very seriously, but it takes being goofy just as seriously. So it like commits to both those things, and it knows when to be silly and when not to be silly, which I think is something that MGS as a series has often had a bit of a dodgy relationship with. So sometimes it will do silly things when it really shouldn't, and sometimes it will be overly serious when it shouldn't. Whereas 3 had quite a good balance.
3 had a fantastic balance. I completely agree with that. And it was just a fun tactical espionage action game. But no, I absolutely adore that game. It's fucking fantastic.
It's a good one.
It's a good one.
It's a very good one.
Draw a butt.
What is your number one most favoritist game of all time?
Forever, no gives
It is more disappointing than both of yours.
You saying mine was disappointing?
You two had good choices.
Okay.
And had good reasons for your choices. My choice was jank when it came out. It looked bad when it came out. The story's meh. Gameplay's kind of the same.
Fallout? I'm joking.
But it was on my list of 5, and when I went through, I started at 5, I was like, well, kind of by process of elimination, it becomes number 1.
Okay.
World of Warcraft.
Yeah, no, that's fair. I mean, I've played so much of that game.
Like, there's so much of it is jank, but and yet I've had so many good times on it.
Yeah, no, this is very true.
We spent a long time playing together back. I can't remember when it was that we played.
A good few years ago.
Cataclysm era.
It was just not long after Cataclysm came out. I got super into it because Worgans. And then I was like, hey, Ash, Sarah, you want to play it? And then they got super into it because Night Elves and Draenei. And then you were like, yeah, I'll play with you guys. Because I like rogues.
Yeah. and it was great. Like, we had so much good times together. And there was a lot to do. Despite, even if you take away like the fetch quest side of things, there's still a lot to explore, and it's a huge game of stuff you can do.
Absolutely.
Oh, I mean, if you sit down and I've tried to do things like when I used to play of like trying to go through like and do full quest lines in like old areas and stuff, and you really start to realize how much content is
crazy.
It's almost forgotten that's in the game. And like, haven't they rebalanced it now so like old content like balances up to your level or something?
What they did, because they introduced level scaling, which is what they did in Legion, which I quite liked, because then you could go to any area and it would be suited to your level.
That's good, because
I did really like that, because that means that, you know, they have said that with this expansion they will be expanding that. With Battle for Azeroth, because I did really like that, because the amount of times, like especially in heirlooms, or you're just lucky, you'll end up slightly over leveled, and you'll be like halfway through a quest chain in a certain area that say you're really enjoying the story of, or you're really enjoying just the atmosphere of being there, and you're like, well, I mean, I have to go over here now because
you get so over leveled it's literally no point.
But now it's like with introducing like level scaling, it's like that doesn't seem like that's going to be an issue anymore, and it's like, oh, that's fun. And that gives it a bit more fresh. So if you get completely fed up of a particular area, you can just fuck off somewhere else.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no, I like that. I think that's fantastic. I really hope that they implement that like they promised.
Yeah. Because my biggest criticism, like, because it's not about the gameplay and it's not about, well, you know what I mean? It's not about the graphics being very dated even when it came out. That's not the point of it. My only real criticism of it is that I really don't like how it's pay per month, and it's also you have to pay for the expansions.
Yeah, that is my biggest problem, because like, I want
Which
to
is
get
why
the new
one of
one.
the reasons I haven't played since I've not played the one that's out now since it came out, because I was like, I don't want to have to pay for the game and then pay for at least a month or two I'll be playing it.
Yeah. I mean, I feel that they could probably circumvent that by going, like Battle for Azeroth is like £40. That's outrageous. Especially because, like, apparently there's like barely anything in it, and it's like everything to do with the story is like, even by Warcraft standards, a joke. Apparently it's just so poor. And like, they're charging 40 quid for that. So I think the way to get around to that would be you get a month or 2 months free subscription time. You know what I mean? I think I'd be way more... I'd be like, ooh, no, that's a good deal. Because then, like, you know, that's actually saving a bit of money and making sure that you'll actually be able to play it. And I don't know why they don't do that. Well, no, I guess I do money. But it makes sense to me that would be a fantastic... That would be a big draw for more people to play. Because, as you say, it's like, I could start up my subscription again now, but then I have to spend 40 fucking quid to get the new expansion that I don't even know if I'm going to like. So,
Yeah, but my being at number one is mostly based around Mostly Cataclysm and a bit of Draenor.
Yeah.
Is it Draenor, the next one?
Yeah, Wars of Draenor.
Yeah, that's right.
Fucking love.
Yeah, mostly based
Cataclysm.
around that sort of era.
You played Mop as well, didn't you?
Yeah, oh, sorry, that was the next one. Yeah,
Fair
sorry.
enough.
Yeah, mostly based around Cataclysm and Mop, sorry, is what I meant.
Catch and
then
Mop.
And then I did play with Draenor as well, but didn't enjoy it quite as much as those previous two.
Yeah. I like.
I also tried it when I can't remember if it was vanilla or if it was Burning Crusade that I tried it for the first time, and it was a complete chore and a nightmare.
Yeah, I tried
Despite
it.
Despite what people say about it gets worse every time. Which I guess is what we're doing after the era that we played it, and then the new ones are like, oh, there's not really much to do, and it's
Honestly,
so I guess
if they
we're
brought
guilty
out
of the same
another
thing.
expansion that was just about werewolves, that would be my favourite expansion. So
I think
Cataclysm was like, hey, here's werewolves, and I was like, shit, yeah, best expansion.
I think part of the thing is that because the game has been through so many different eras, it's totally understandable for someone to be, say, super into early WoW or super into like mid-era WoW like we were, or super into modern WoW and not like the other ones, because it has changed. Just the general
Pretty
experience of
dramatically,
playing it's changed so much. I totally understand it. Like people loving certain eras of it and hating the earlier or the later parts of it.
But yeah.
Yep. So yeah, that's apparently my number one.
Something that we all kind of spent a long time complaining about, but
I feel a little bit of shame, but it is great. It was great. It can be great.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think what I like best about it is that it's one of those things where you can kind of pick what you want to do. It's like, I pretty much really only, like, LFR raid, like, and roleplay. That's all I really do in WoW anymore, and you know what? That suits me fine.
Yeah.
I don't want a PvP, never have. But
No,
like some
I
people
didn't
will
have it.
literally only play the game for PvP. And that's completely whatever they want to do. That's fine.
I played PvP when I haven't played WoW in years, but I used to play PvP from time to time, but like it was a weird experience because I never took it seriously. Like everyone...
Every time I played a PvP match, someone was screaming racial slurs at me immediately. It's like, wait, the fucking gates haven't even opened.
I like how Siri turns on when you say talking about people like hurling racial slurs. I think your Siri's trying to tell us something.
Siri, fuck off, and that's your Siri.
Oh, it was my Siri. My Siri's the racist one. Okay.
Yeah, yours. Which of our Siris is racist? It's yours, honey. But yeah, no.
But yeah, I never really took it seriously. It was just... I just like... would go in and just like, oh, well, this is a fun thing. I loved it when you'd have like the big, what was it called? Alterac Valley?
Was that the one where like you basically all ran at each other and then tried to like, you basically ran past each other?
But I loved it when that didn't happen, when you'd have basically
A big melee
80
in the middle?
people, like 40 people aside, run into each other, and then you'd have this huge fight that would go up and down the map. It just never ended. And if you were quick and knew what you were doing, you could like jump from one fight to another and keep yourself alive, which especially in Cataclysm, because I played
As a druid.
I played Feral Combat Druid, so
Which was broken at
they
that
were
point.
they were so broken in that expansion. Like I basically I was like, oh, I'll go tank a fucking dungeon. Oh no, I won't even bother to change spec. I'll just go in my damage
Whereas,
form.
you
It's
know, me
fine.
as a warrior having literal rage
Yeah.
tanking gear was having trouble.
But I loved like that kind of PvP where it was this endless fight, and it was like horrifically unbalanced, but it was fine because I was like going into it like accepting it was horrifically unbalanced. Whereas if you treated it like a balanced video game, you'd hate it. Like it
I
was
treated it
infuriating.
like something that could have been fun, which is why it didn't sit well with me.
But that was the thing. I had fun when the serious PvP players were raging because they hated the way I like to play, and so when the game went like
they
that,
just
they'd be
hate you
furious.
if you're having fun.
Well, yeah. But yeah, I totally get it because I have so many good memories of it, and it's a funny one because like objectively you have so many like nitpicks, but like as some
Yeah.
so much
Hence why
fun.
when we were talking about it, like pretty much everything I had to say was negative, and yet it's still up there.
Yeah, it's a weird one like that.
It's
I guess.
very weird. And I like there's something's got to be said for it. It's lasted so fucking long.
Oh yeah.
Like that's got to be something. There's at least a core of goodness to it, even if it has layers of jank on top of it.
Even if it's just straight up Stockholm syndrome, you know.
But yeah, possibly. But
Like, there is something to be said about it. I mean, this is like, and you know, I had no background in Warcraft because I know you. Snipe,
no, I didn't
Oh
either.
yeah, I mean, I grew up on like Warcraft 2, Orcs versus Humans, and all that. Like, so yeah, because I remember trying to get into it, and we didn't have much money at the time, and I was like, I really want to play WoW, but we can't afford it, so I'll play Lord of the Rings Online, and it was just full of, like, in-game adverts and just free-to-play garbage. And I was like, this has just ruined my day. And so I was like, I'll have it, like, a 2-week trial, and... well...
I think it, like...
literally hundreds of hours later.
Probably thousands.
Probably, like, I have, like...
Definitely thousands.
25,
Can you
30
see?
alts.
It will tell you.
When you log in, it says time played.
Oh, yes.
And time played this level. So,
Yes, a
like,
dangerous
Luca
thing to
has,
look at.
like... Oh, I've looked at Redmore.
What was Redmore, which was my main character?
It was like 300 hours.
300 hours.
It was like 390 hours, maybe.
I'm sure it must be more than that.
Maybe I'm remembering wrong. That might be... I'm thinking of Luca, maybe. Because I'm an altaholic, so I have like a bunch of different ones, whereas you just stuck... You stuck
Yeah,
with
I
one
mostly
guy.
just played the one character.
Yeah, your favourite part of new expansions was that when they increased the amount of characters you could have.
It's like,
He was like,
ooh! What can I have today? Okay. I have like one of each, so... I have like 3 shamans, 4 mages. I tend to, like, with mages, I wanted one of every spec.
Yeah.
Because mages are a lot of fun to play. So.
Yeah. It's that funny thing, like, it is, like, a part of, like, our kind of past, like, together, like, as you know, our general group, like, the friends and our relationships, like...
And now we've moved on up to D&D, where we don't have to pay fucking monthly for it.
But yeah.
It's only as jank as we imagine it, so...
Yeah. But yeah, I as you say, like, you know, we've spent a weird amount of time complaining about it, but we all have this, like, place in our heart for WoW.
Yeah.
Like, it's...
As embarrassing as that may be.
Yeah, yeah. And
I don't think it's embarrassing.
I totally 100% understand you putting it at number 1.
By
like,
accident.
By accident.
By accident, kind of.
But no, I totally get that. So,
So we've been going for a while, though.
we've been going for a while.
Bloody hell.
This
Yeah.
is
2.5 hours.
by the time we cut out all of the weird pauses and the parts where we stopped to cut out where an ambulance drove past,
Or where drummer Matt was getting, like, pressure washed.
which hopefully you won't hear on the final recording. If there's a weird hum you hear, that's what that is.
Apologies if you hear it.
And
Blame
if you don't, then you win a prize.
blame the French as a collective entity.
You are so English. I think.
Well, because at least one of them was pressure washing somewhere.
Yeah, no, damn them.
And that is their collective fault, apparently.
Yes.
But yeah, so thank you for listening to this slightly weird podcast where we managed to be at least 80% positive about things.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Which is, I think, impressive for us.
Maybe.
Yeah.
So, yeah, thank you very much for listening. And we shall return to normal and answer your questions and things and generally be curmudgeons.
Oh, speaking of questions, if anyone wants to email in with their favourite games...
We will happily
Yeah.
tell you
That-
why you're incorrect. And why ours are set in stone and the only games you're allowed to like.
No,
Yeah.
I'm just genuinely intrigued as to how diverse it is, or whether basically everyone emails in with Final Fantasy VII.
Yeah, just give us your favourite game.
Yeah, if your just your favourite game, or like a top 5, or just 5 in general that are like your favourites. They don't have to be numbered. Like, you don't have to be as rigid as we have.
And depending on how many we get, we might not read through all of them. I guess I might, if we get loads, I might sort of collate. You know, a few people said this, a few people. So
Yeah,
we'll
yeah.
see. But
Yeah, but I'd be really interested. Yeah, that'd be interesting.
that'd be interesting.
Send those to onlydrummermat at snipeandwib@gmail.com.
What was that address again?
Onlydrummermat at snipeandwib@gmail.com.
That's a stupid email address.
It is indeed.
It is.
And on that note, we shall bid you all good day.
Bye!
Goodbye.
bye.